Chapter 746. Who? Yang Dingtian asked. Jia said, "You'll know when you see him." Then she turned around and walked out. Even though the two of them had extraordinarily close contact, the relationship between the two of them had fallen into an even stranger state. Previously, Jia still treated him as a disciple and took care of him meticulously. Now there was no need for formalities and hypocrisy. The relationship between the two of them suddenly became cold and unfamiliar. They walked through a long square and passed by a magnificent and huge bridge. Finally, they arrived at a magnificent courtyard. This courtyard was filled with beautiful red leaves. At this moment, they were fluttering in the wind and were extremely beautiful. Pushing open the magnificent crystal door, they entered a dreamy palace. That was because a considerable portion of the palace was open air. Red leaves were planted everywhere in the palace, including the roof. Yang Dingtian immediately saw the two figures that had captivated his dreams. Yao Rao was wearing a snow-white light fur coat and holding the beautiful baby Yang Yi. She was painting in front of a drawing board. Her small hand was holding Yang Yi's smaller hand as she painted. She was painting a formal Yang Dingtian. As she painted, she said sweetly, "Hey, these are Daddy's eyes. Daddy's eyes look honest, but they're actually dishonest. On your daddy's face, only this pair of eyes can still be seen." Hearing this, Yang Dingtian's heart suddenly trembled, as if he was struck by an electric current. His whole body went numb. He and Yao Rao couldn't be said to be in true love. To put it bluntly, it was no different from a man and a woman in ancient times who got married with a child. It couldn't be said to be love, but it could be said to be a lover. Love or family, a casual word from her could tug at your heartstrings. After leaving Yang Yi, Yao Rao had completely transformed into her human form. Otherwise, she would still have some changes when she returned to Little Western Paradise. But the current Yao Rao was almost no different from the Yao Rao in Cloud Sky City. On the contrary, Yang Yi had some changes. His little ears had become cuter. Originally, his ears were very close to a fox's, but now they were closer to a human. Also, his little face was slightly longer than in Cloud Sky City. His eyes were brighter, and there was even a colorful world in his pupils. In short, in the human countries, Yang Yi only looked very, very beautiful. However, in Little Western Paradise, people could tell that he was different at a glance. He even had a very special aura around him, which made people feel a sense of tranquility and longing as soon as they got close to him. "Come, Bao Bao, the other eye, Bao Bao will draw," Yao Rao said. Yang Yi took the brush and began to draw Yang Dingtian's other eye. He didn't draw quickly, but he didn't stop or think too much. Instead, he drew very naturally and smoothly. Then not only Yang Dingtian was stunned, even Yao Rao was also stunned. Because Yang Yi's eyes were full of details. What she captured was one of Yang Dingtian's expressions. What was Yang Dingtian doing at that time? Oh right, he was praising Yang Yichen. Yang Yichen had become very sensitive because of his father's death. He was also very eager to be protected and cherished by others. Therefore, Yang Dingtian was never stingy with his praise and attention. He would listen carefully to what he said, and then give the most sincere and beautiful answer. The time Yang Dingtian spent with the children was very short, but as long as they were together, he was willing to work hard to let the children feel his love. And this scene obviously left a deep impression on Bao Bao, so he naturally drew it. He, who was less than 2 years old, even had a kind of photographic memory. He remembered many details more clearly than his mother Yao Rao. Therefore, with the cooperation of the mother and son, a vivid and lifelike Yang Dingtian appeared in front of them. "Bao Bao is so good, so awesome." Yao Rao kissed Yang Yi and then said, "After drawing Dad, let's draw Grandma, Mom Yin Yen, Brother Yang Li, Brother Yang Yichen, Sister Ningning, Sister Yang Qin, okay? Let's draw everyone in the family, right?" Yang Yi was still drawing seriously, with a sweet smile on his little face, and then nodded vigorously. "Sister," Jia shouted. Yao Rao seemed to have just noticed that someone was coming. Then she hugged Yang Yi and said, "Bao Bao, call Auntie." Yang Yi turned his little face and shouted, "Auntie." Then his eyes fell on Yang Dingtian's face, and suddenly he was stunned. Then he stopped drawing and just looked at him, with big bright eyes, as if he was looking for some kind of special feeling. At this time, Yao Rao looked at Yang Dingtian for the first time, and she was also slightly stunned. Yang Dingtian himself, a very very close person, could still find traces of Yang Dingtian from the outline of his face, but it was definitely a very very close person. But Yang Dingtian's current changes were astonishing. A face that was completely different from a human's. Even the structure of his body had changed, and his height was almost 2 meters. Especially his eyes, whether it was the pupils or the eyebrows, they were already very different from a human's. Sister, this is the sage of the speechless clan, Mr. Jiang Shang, Jia said. Of course, he is also my fiancé. Yao Rao was even more stunned, looking up and down at Yang Dingtian for a long time. She did not sniff lightly, but Yang Dingtian knew that she was sniffing the special aura of Yang Dingtian. The Demon Fox clan was very, very sensitive to the special aura of the dark profound flame on Yang Dingtian's body. But after giving birth to Yang Yi, all the special energy of the Demon Fox clan in Yao Rao's body seemed to have completely disappeared. She was just like a complete human woman. Therefore, when she was together with Yang Dingtian, it was entirely due to her human emotions. She was already unfamiliar with the dark energy in his body and had become dull. So Yao Rao could no longer sniff the aura of the dark profound flame in Yang Dingtian's body. Her eyes stared at Yang Dingtian's face for a long time. Then she said to Jia, "Are you sure? He is your fiancé." "I am sure," Jia said. At this moment, Yang Dingtian opened his arms towards Yang Yi, asking for a hug. Yao Rao's eyes locked, but baby Yang Yi took the initiative to open his arms, which made her stunned. Yang Dingtian hugged Yang Yi in his arms, greedily sniffing the milky fragrance on his body and his soft body. When he was in Cloud Sky City, because he had to hug Yang Qin, he did not hug Yang Yi much. Now that he was hugging him in his arms, he actually felt as if the whole world was in his arms. Yang Dingtian's special aura made Yang Dingtian feel as if he was incomparably powerful in an instant. This was a very mysterious feeling. Hugging one's own child and one's own wife made one feel powerful. Because only when he was powerful could he protect them. Of course, he could not hug his wife now. In fact, he should not hug Yang Yi baby, as it would be very easy for Jia to see through him. But this did not matter. The actions of the speechless clan sage could be explained, and even did not need to be explained. At this moment, Yang Dingtian baby was being hugged in his arms. His arms were around Yang Dingtian's neck, and his little hand was gently writing on his back, "Daddy." That's right, it was the Chinese character for daddy. Yang Dingtian's heart felt as if a 10,000-pound boulder had been thrown into his heart. When he was with the babies, he would occasionally teach them how to write Chinese characters. He was prepared to only teach this language to his own children. But unfortunately, he had only taught a few words before leaving in a hurry. And now, Yang Yi baby was writing the Chinese character for daddy on his back. Yang Yi actually recognized him. He actually recognized him. Yang Dingtian's shock was completely indescribable. How was this possible? Yang Yi baby was only a little more than a year old, and he had undergone a huge change from head to toe, from inside to outside. How could he still recognize him? In another kind of grand hall, Dongli and the Nether Sea emissary came to visit Speaker Yao Qi. Dongli, the adopted son of His Majesty the Demon King Wentian, the Prime Minister of the Naga Empire, greets the great speaker. Dongli came in and bowed. Huali, the Lord of the Nether Sea, greets the great speaker. Behind him was a woman with a veil over her face. She was dressed in mermaid attire. She was graceful as she bowed. "Please sit." Yao Qi didn't stand up. He didn't want to pretend to be a human. After sitting down, Yao Qi said, "Thank you, Dongli, for telling me about my wife Yao Rao." "This is what I should do," Dongli said. "It's my honor to be able to help the great speaker." Yao Qi said, "Then what is the purpose of your visit, Dongli?" Dongli said, "Do you know that many years ago, Little Western Paradise sent thousands of female foxes to the human countries? But Yarao is the only one who succeeded in borrowing seeds. Do you know why, speaker?" Yao Qi said, "Because of Yang Dingtian's uniqueness." "No," Dongli said. "Maybe Yang Dingtian is special, but that's not the reason why he succeeded in making the female foxes pregnant. We already know the real reason, and I can do it too. I can also make countless female foxes pregnant. Oh, Yao Qi's eyes trembled. Dongli said, think about it. If you have a large group of descendants of demigods, then the entire Little Western Paradise will become your empire in the future. The 9 great tribes and the tribal council would cease to exist. You will create a great empire, and you will become the only master of the empire. Your throne will be monopolized for hundreds or thousands of years. Yao Qi's face turned red. That's a very tempting prospect. Then, what does Mr. Dongli want from me? Dongli said, 2 things. First, the void-splitting fire. Second, the alliance between Little Western Paradise and the Temple of Annihilation. Alliance? Is there a need for that? Yao Qi said. Plus, who is the alliance against? It can't be the human Yang Dingtian's Council of Light, right? Yang Dingtian? He's not worth mentioning. Dongli said, this is the greatest and strongest alliance in the world. The descendants of the Northern Naga, the powerful Naga Empire. The Underworld Empire with thousands of saint-level experts in the Southwest Nether Realm. Plus, the Little Western Paradise with thousands of years of history, and the bloodline of the great fallen Silver Dragon. Oh, maybe it will become the Silver Dragon Empire in the future, and the Evil Demon Empire, that will rule the entire human world. The 4 strongest empires in the history of the world will form a great alliance. Yao Qi's eyes narrowed. She said, then, who is the enemy of this great alliance? The God of Chaos. Dongli said, he controls the fate of the entire world. No one knows of his existence, but he is the omnipresent God of Chaos. As long as we defeat him, we will defeat the fate that God has given us. We will be able to dominate the universe. Even if we leave the chaotic world, our empire will be able to conquer the sea of stars. Yao Qi took a deep breath and said, what a great fantasy. But I want to ask, I know about the existence of the God of Chaos, and how he mercilessly manipulates all of us. But where is he? A war where we don't even know where the enemy is meaningless. Dongli said, I, the Almighty Demon King, already know where God is. He is also the only person in the world who knows where the God of Chaos is. In order to defeat the God of Chaos, he even purposely lost the War of Destruction 200 years ago. Oh, Yao Qi laughed. So, in the War of Destruction 200 years ago, Lord Wentian purposely lost it. Of course, Dongli said. Otherwise, with the Void Piaoling, how could he defeat the Demon King Wentian? And now, the Void Piaoling has become our equally great Devil Queen. Then why? Yao Qi said. Why did Lord Wentian purposely lose 200 years ago? He is waiting for someone, Dongli said. Who? Yao Qi asked. The god's spokesperson Yang Dingtian, Dongli said. Oh. Yao Qi smiled and said, that's funny. You said that he wasn't worth mentioning. Why is he so important now? Of course, he is not worth mentioning. Even the god's spokesperson is not worth mentioning, Dongli said. However, he is indeed a chess piece. A chess piece that connects everyone together. Without his appearance, the countless experts of the Underworld Empire would not be able to leave this plane. Without him, the demigod descendant of the demonic fox race would not be born. Without him, the demigod descendant of the Naga Empire would not be born. In short, he is the crucial chess piece that allowed our great alliance to defeat God. Now this chess piece's mission has ended, so he can die. Yao Qi smiled and said, Your Excellency Dong Li's words are very inspiring. Then as you said, if you want the demigod descendant of the demonic fox race to be born, the void-splitting fire is a prerequisite, right? Of course, Dongli said. Yao Qi smiled. Then why should I give up what is near and seek what is far away? Why don't I cooperate with Yang Dingtian directly? A great empire looking for a weak alliance might be wiser. Dongli said. But this is impossible, right? You stole Yang Dingtian's wife and son. You have a deep hatred for him. Moreover, you killed so many people in Cloud Sky City. It doesn't seem like you want to cooperate with him. Yao Qi said, Sir Dongli, haven't you heard of a saying? As the saying goes, if you fight for unity, then the unity will survive. If you compromise for unity, then the unity will perish. Dongli said, I understand what you mean. You want him to be afraid first, and then compromise. But you don't understand young Dingtian at all. He will never give in. He won't even be afraid. When he was very weak, he didn't even learn to be afraid, let alone now. That's not necessarily true. From what I know, he cares about his family and son very much, Yao Qi said calmly. Yao Qi said indifferently. Therefore, I feel that there is still a lot of room for me to cooperate with young Dingtian. Perhaps, I need to go to Cloud Sky City again, and invite young Dingtian's wife or son to visit the Silver Palace. This Yao Qi was truly unscrupulous. Young Dingtian truly didn't expect that he still had plans to kidnap his children. Dongli said, if Yang Dingtian is beside you now, what do you think you should do? Yao Qi said, destroy all of his cultivation, including his brain. Leave only the part of him that is useful as a stud horse. Dongli said, what if he successfully deceived you and slept with your ex-fiancé? Moreover, at this moment he is lurking beside you, intending to steal Yao Rao and her child as well. Yao Qi's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Dongli said, Yang Dingtian has disappeared from Cloud Sky City and is not in Zhongjing. Coincidentally, there is a Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan in Little Western Paradise. Don't you find it strange? Yao Qi said, you mean that Jiang Shang is Yang Dingtian in disguise? Dongli said, this person is very cunning. Anything is possible. Yao Qi said, but no one can impersonate the Speechless clan. Dongli said, but how many people have really seen the Speechless clan? Even you have not seen one, right? I know that your teacher has seen one before, but he has already left the world, and no one knows where he is. So almost no one has really seen the Speechless clan. They just naturally thought that an impersonator is from the Speechless clan, right? Yao Qi frowned and did not speak. Dongli continued, I would like to ask if Jiang Shang is Yang Dingtian. What are you going to do? Then he has angered a king. That is unforgivable. Yao Qi said calmly, I will kill him and control Yao Rao to kill him personally. Killing him in front of Yang Yi is the cruelest way for him to die. Dongli smiled. That's great. I have brought someone who is very familiar with Yang Dingtian. Even if he turns into ashes, he will recognize him. He is his mortal enemy. Can I let them in? Of course, Yao Qi said. Then, the two figures walked into the incomparably magnificent hall. Yang Zheng, and the undying cockroach Shimen Ju, who was even more stubborn than a cockroach. Yang Zheng, the true successor of Cloud Sky City, Shimen Yinyan's fiancé. Yang Zheng greets the chairman. Shimen Ju, the adopted son of Shimen Wuxia, greets the chairman. As expected, they are very close. Yao Qi waved her hand and said, Men, invite Lord Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan into the hall. Yes. Two fox demon experts flashed and disappeared behind the hall. Chapter 747. Yang Dingtian was still in shock. Baby Yang Yi was only a little more than a year old. How did he recognize him? Jia said, It's really strange. Baby Yang Yi never let anyone hug him. Not even me and Dad. Now, he's actually willing to let Mr. Jiang Shang hug him. Yang Dingtian ignored her, and just gently looked at Yang Yi's little face. He really changed a lot. He didn't look like a human anymore. But he couldn't tell what was different. In short, he felt that in terms of temperament, and even the aesthetic outline of his face, there was a difference from a human. But he was really very beautiful. It was the kind of beauty that a human face couldn't achieve. At this time, two demon fox experts appeared outside the courtyard and said, The chairman invites Mr. Jiang Shang to the conference hall. Yang Dingtian nodded, and then returned Yang Yi to Yao Rao. He smiled and nodded, then turned and left. Jia immediately smiled at Yang Yi and said, Baby, tell Auntie, why are you willing to let Uncle Jiang Shang hug you? It's comfortable. Yang Yi said cutely, and then continued to pick up the brush to paint. Jia was stunned. Could it be that the Speechless clan really had a very charming and comfortable aura? Yang Dingtian was brought to the conference hall by the two demon fox experts. He first saw his old acquaintance Dongli. Then he saw the even more familiar Yang Zheng. And finally he saw the most familiar Shimen Ju. Wow, this Shimen Ju! He had almost completely forgotten about him. He didn't expect him to still appear. How many people had he followed? Qin Xiaobai and Yang Yan, then Yang Zheng, then Qin Qiqi, then Ning Wuming, then Zhu Qingzhu, and finally Wu Yuming. Now, he actually followed Dongli. Of course, this didn't mean anything. The key was that everyone he followed was destroyed by the other party. Until now, Dongli still dared to take him in. He was really very brave. The moment Yang Dingtian appeared, Dongli and the other two's gazes immediately shot over like lightning. Then Dongli couldn't help but be stunned. Almost half a year ago, the Netherworld Sea had sealed off the entire Forbidden Continent sea area, forbidding anyone from entering or leaving. Later on, he did not react to Wu Yuming's defeat. Obviously, from then on, Wu Yu's focus was no longer on Wu Yuming, but somewhere else. Perhaps it was the Little Western Paradise. This was the second time that Dongli had entered the Little Western Paradise. Every time, he had followed the emissary of the Sea of Hades. Last time, Princess Mudan found Yao Li and sought an alliance. On the other hand, Dongli was looking for Yao Qi, who was even stronger. Not only that, but he also told Yao Qi the secret of Yao Rao giving birth. The last time he had interacted with Yao Qi, it had only been a short test. This time, they were going to form an alliance for real. Moreover, he wanted to get the space-splitting fire through Yao Qi. When Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan swept the entire Little Western Paradise, he instinctively thought that Yang Dingtian was stirring up trouble. Then, he immediately returned to the human countries to search for Yang Dingtian's whereabouts. He realized that Yang Dingtian wasn't in Cloud Sky City, nor was he in Zhongjing. He was sure that he wasn't even in the human countries. Therefore, he was sure that this Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan, who had suddenly appeared, was Yang Dingtian in disguise. His purpose was to save Yao Rao and her son, as well as the space-splitting fire. However, when he saw this Jiang Shang, he couldn't help but be shocked. If it was really Yang Dingtian in disguise then it might not be too real. Of course, Dongli had never seen the Speechless clan before. However, he felt that the Speechless clan at most looked like a weird human. However, when he saw Jiang Shang for real, if the Speechless clan really existed, they would definitely look like this. That was because he was too different from a human. Although he had eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, his proportions were different from a human's. It was another kind of special proportion. Therefore, it formed a very weird aesthetic picture. His face was pretty, but it was very weird. Almost immediately, one could tell that he wasn't a human, especially his aura and actions. Yao Qi said, "Mr. Jiang Shang, this Dongli from the human countries said that you're not the real Speechless clan. Instead, you're Yang Dingtian in disguise. What do you think?" "Yang Dingtian? I'm very interested in him," Yang Dingtian said. "My human friend, if you have time, tell me everything about Yang Dingtian." At that moment, Yang Dingtian was speaking the human chaotic language. Moreover, he was much more fluent. Yao Qi couldn't help but be stunned. Yang Dingtian was doing the opposite. "Didn't you suspect that I was a human in disguise? Then I might as well speak the human language very fluently." However, the strange thing was that Yang Dingtian's fluency was like a foreigner who had never lived in China. He learned Chinese very well and spoke it very fluently. However, there was something weird about it. Yao Qi said, "Mr. Jiang Shang, you speak the human language much more fluently than the Fox clan's language." Yang Dingtian said, "I'm very interested in humans. Actually, I plan to visit the human countries in the near future, especially this Yang Dingtian." "Why? Are you very familiar with Yang Dingtian?" Yao Qi asked. "No, I heard his name from the president. He said that he's the master of the human countries." Yang Dingtian said, "And I've always said that humans will become a race that will survive in this world. Therefore, I plan to spend the rest of my time in the human countries." "What do you want to do in the human countries?" Yao Qi asked. "Observe." Yang Dingtian said, "If I feel that I've observed enough, I'll try my best to help, even though I might not be able to." Yao Qi's face twitched. "You'd rather help humans than the Fox clan?" Yang Dingtian fell silent. He wanted to provoke this rebellious mentality and dilute Yao Qi's suspicion. Therefore, he gained the upper hand by showing his strength. Subsequently, he persevered and followed up with another attack. He asked Dongli, "This human friend, you said that I am Yang Dingtian's impersonator. Why is that? Dongli's gaze trembled. He smiled faintly and said, My people will know if you're a fake or not. Then he waved his hand and said, Yang Zheng Shimenju, you said that even if young Dingtian turned into ashes, you'd still recognize him. Come and take a look. Yang Dingtian opened his arms slightly and stood there without moving. Yang Zheng and Shimenju walked forward and approached Yang Dingtian's face to check carefully. Yang Zheng checked Yang Dingtian's body, while Shimenju checked his face and eyes, especially his eyes. However, Yang Dingtian was wearing clothes, and it was hard to see. Yang Zheng couldn't help but look at Dongli. Before Dongli could say anything, Yang Dingtian took off his clothes and left only a pair of shorts on, revealing his entire body. Immediately, Yang Zheng jumped in fright. This was not a human's body at all. How could a human's body be so long and flat? Moreover, the most shocking thing was that his toes were webbed when they were spread open. That was nothing. There were many natural runes on his body. Not only were they glowing faintly, but they were also semi-transparent. Even his internal organs could be vaguely seen. Yang Zheng immediately held his breath. How could this be Yang Dingtian? This was not even a human. How could he be a fake? Yang Dingtian's martial arts were awesome. Even if he could change his appearance and body, he couldn't possibly change his race. Shimenju stared at Yang Dingtian's eyes and pupils. He believed that a person could change his appearance, but he definitely couldn't change his eyes. But the strange thing was that these were not human eyes and pupils. Upon closer inspection, the structure of this pair of eyes was completely different from a human's. It was much deeper and much more complicated. Then, Shimenju closed his eyes to feel and smell Yang Dingtian's aura. That's right. Yang Dingtian's body had a very special aura. It was because of the 9 Yang mystic meridians. That vigorous feeling of firepower was very subtle. Only those who were very attentive would be able to feel it. Yang Zheng firmly believed that even if the eyes could be changed, the mystic meridians couldn't be changed. Then he felt a complete truth. Not only was this not Yang Dingtian's aura, it wasn't a human's aura at all. A human's aura couldn't be so slow and long. Moreover, it had an extremely special energy aura. How is it? Dongli looked at the two of them. Yang Zheng shook his head and said, Impossible. This Mr. Jiangshang is not a human at all. Even the structure of his body is completely different. Shimenju said, I think so too. Not only are his eyes and pupils different, even his bloodline and aura aren't human at all. Dongli's expression changed drastically. How could it not be? Of course, he didn't have any proof, but he trusted his intuition completely. This must be Yang Dingtian's disguise. How could it not be? Yao Qi's expression suddenly turned cold. Mr. Dongli, do you know what kind of status this Mr. Jiangshang has in Little Western Paradise? Dongli's expression changed. Yao Qi said, He's respected by millions in Little Western Paradise. His reputation far surpasses mine. Now you dare to slander him. How should you be punished? Dongli said, Mr. Speaker, am I going to be punished for my words? Yao Qi said calmly, It's fine if you offend me, but if you offend the Honorable Mr. Jiangshang, you'll be in trouble. Dongli said, Mr. Speaker, what we're talking about today is the alliance. Alliance? What alliance? Yao Qi said, What I'm talking about now is how to punish you for offending Mr. Jiangshang. Dongli turned and stared at Yang Dingtian. I don't know how you did it, but I know that you're Yang Dingtian's disguise. I trust my intuition completely. Mr. Dongli, do you want to die? Yao Qi said coldly. Men break these humans' limbs and chase them out of Little Western Paradise. Wait. Suddenly, Jia walked out and looked at Dongli and Yang Dingtian. Mr. Dongli, are you sure that he's Yang Dingtian? I'm sure, Dongli said. I trust my intuition completely. All right, I'll give you one last chance to prove it to us, Jia said. Then, she looked at Yang Dingtian and said softly, Mr. Jiangshang, of course, I should call you my future husband. I think this is very important to both of us, right? I can't marry a human who I don't know anything about. Yao Qi's expression turned cold. Jia, I think it's unwise for you to appear now. Mr. Speaker, there's something I must tell you, Jia said. Your future successor, Yang Yi, Doesn't allow anyone to hug him, including you and me. However, he let Mr. Jiangshang hug him just now. Oh, is that so? Yao Qi said. Jia looked at Dongli and said, Mr. Human, you must know that you only have one chance. Tell me, how do you plan to prove that he's Yang Dingtian? Dongli turned his face and looked at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian, I can't help but admire you. Not only can you change your face, you can even change your body structure and race. I'm really suspicious. What did Yao Li give you? Yang Dingtian's eyes shrank as he looked at Dong Li and asked, You have enmity towards me? No, it's not hostile. I just want to expose your tricks. Dong Li sneered. You may think that you're foolproof and flawless. However, you still have the biggest flaw. Do you know what it is? Yang Dingtian ignored him. Darkness mystic flame. Dong Li sneered. The darkness mystic flame in your body. You can change your face and your body, but you can't change your darkness mystic flame. Then he took out an energy jade box. After opening it, there was a small dark crystal floating inside. It was almost invisible to the naked eye. Dong Li sneered. Your darkness mystic flame loves to devour the dark crystal. Anyone, any living thing. As long as they consume the dark crystal, their energy will be devoured crazily. Their body will shrivel, and it will be a horrible sight. Only you will be fine after consuming the dark crystal, because you have the darkness mystic flame in your body. Then, Dongli passed the dark crystal to Yang Dingtian and said, Swallow this dark crystal, and you'll be able to reveal your true face. Swallow it. Yao Qi suddenly said coldly, Your Excellency Dongli, there's something wrong with your logic. You said it yourself. No race can withstand the devouring of the dark crystal. If Jiangshang isn't Yang Dingtian, wouldn't Little Western Paradise lose an eternal wise man? Dongli said, Your Excellency, this dark crystal is very small. If he isn't Yang Dingtian, and is the real Jiangshang from the Speechless clan, he won't die. Then it won't take his life. It will only cause his cultivation to deteriorate, and his body to shrivel. I think that the greatest contribution of the Speechless clan is their wisdom. As for cultivation, that's not important. Dongli's words were undoubtedly heart-wrenching. Yao Qi immediately looked at Jia and said, Jia, he's your future husband. It's up to you to decide. Can you decide a husband whose cultivation deteriorates? Jia said, It doesn't matter. As long as he still has his wisdom, I think it's more important for him to prove himself. As soon as she said that, the entire hall suddenly turned cold. Then, Dongli placed the dark crystal beside Yang Dingtian's mouth and said, Please. Chapter 748. Yang Dingtian did not look at Dongli. Instead, he looked at Jia. He suddenly understood the effect of a long period of time on an intelligent life. High-level fox demon nobles all had long lives. However, if they used their long lives to cultivate, then they would be no different from Earth. Because of the long period of cultivation, perhaps decades or even centuries would pass in the blink of an eye. Just like Yaorao, although she was already 1,000 years old, her thinking was no different from a human woman in her 20s or 30s. This was because when she was in the Little Western Paradise, she was like Yao Li. She spent a large amount of time on cultivation. Perhaps the longest period of time she had spent in the human world was the few decades she spent in the human world. Over the past few decades, the aimless journey of borrowing seeds had exhausted her spirit, causing her original ambition to almost disappear. The dream of giving birth to the demigod race, the dream of turning the demon fox race into another Naga race, had almost disappeared. Therefore, when she was imprisoned, she was very quiet. She did not think of any way to resist. She did not even try to tempt the young yin-yin to let her out. This was because there was no difference between staying in the energy prison and staying outside. Later, when she successfully gave birth to a life with Yang Dingtian, she was very excited. The dream that had faded away was reignited. She wanted to give birth to the demigod clan and let the fox demon clan dominate the world. However, with the birth of her son, these thoughts were all gone. All that was left was her innate maternal instinct. Only complete and strong maternal love. She had completely become a good wife and mother. The Little Western Paradise had become a terrifying place for her. She had completely treated Cloud Sky City as her home. As for Yang Dingtian, rather than a lover, it was better to call him the father of her child. However, this did not matter. As long as Yang Dingtian did not betray his responsibility as a father and husband, Yara would always treat Yang Dingtian as her husband and her love. However, Jia was completely different. She was more talented, so she only used half of her time to cultivate. The remaining half of her time was used to think, socialize, and improve her knowledge and self-cultivation. Therefore, the long period of a few hundred years had become extremely terrifying. She must have struggled, reflected, and suffered. Her intelligence prevented her from falling like the other demon fox nobles. Thus, as time passed, she became completely heartless. It was said that a night as husband and wife meant endless devotion for the rest of their lives. Logically speaking, she had an intimate relationship with Yang Dingtian, so she would more or less have some sentimental attachment to him. However, she didn't care about Yang Dingtian's life or death at all. Turtles can live for thousands of years because they almost don't think and don't move. As for intelligent life forms, such as human-like intelligent life forms, if they had a lifespan of thousands of years, the only outcome would probably be complete collapse and destruction. In the past, the demon fox aristocrats had all cultivated in order to dominate the world. Countless female foxes had offered themselves to the humans for the sake of their great cause. However, due to the complete failure of the borrowed seed and the 100 years of Yongxi painting, the martial arts civilization had been castrated and turned to the illusory art civilization. Thus, the Little Western Paradise began to show signs of collapse. In other words, the entire Little Western Paradise was collapsing. Among them, perhaps they were ambitious or wise. When Yao Qi and the others discovered all of this, they were anxious and wanted to turn things around. Jia, on the other hand, happened to be his kindred spirit. What? You don't dare to? Are you afraid of showing your true form? Dongli sneered. That's right. The silver dragon bloodline had changed Yang Dingtian's body structure, changed his face, and even changed his race in the Little Western Paradise. However, it couldn't change the dark mystic flame, because the dark mystic flame seemed to be of a higher level. Therefore, using the darkness crystal to make Yang Dingtian appear was practically the best method, and it was also the only method. Then did Yang Dingtian have the ability to stop all of this? No, he didn't. Dongli, who was in front of him, had the same cultivation as Yu Ming. Jiya's cultivation was about the same as Yao Li's. Of course, she might be slightly weaker. As for Yao Qi, she might be more powerful than Yao Li, Jiya, and Dongli combined. Therefore, if he consumed the dark crystal, he would show himself. If he didn't consume the dark crystal, he would be exposed in advance. What about running away? Of course, that was one way. Unfortunately, in order not to arouse suspicion, Yang Dingtian had already put the demonic spirit mist cloak into the space ring, because it wasn't an invisibility cloak. Yang Dingtian had a huge advantage, or rather a huge disadvantage. That was his character. He wouldn't back down at the crucial moment, and would definitely take the risk. Therefore, after a glance at Jia, he swallowed the darkness crystal without another word. After all, if he consumed it, there was a 90% chance that he would be exposed. If he didn't accept it, he would be exposed in advance. Because Yao Qi would rather kill 3,000 innocents than let one go. As for the consequences of consuming it, he would leave it to the heavens to decide. Seeing Yang Dingtian consume it decisively, Dongli was instantly stunned. Yao Qi and Jia were also stunned. Then, all eyes were fixed on Yang Dingtian's body. After the dark crystal entered his stomach, there was an instant reaction. The dark green mystic fire seemed to have smelled the most delicious food, and woke up immediately. Then, it extended its tentacles from deep within his energy reserve, and grabbed the dark crystal. In no time at all, it was devoured cleanly. Then, it went into the depths of his energy reserve and lay dormant. Previously, when he consumed the dark crystal, there were some changes to his body. Now there were no changes at all. It was as if nothing had happened. Dongli's lips curled into a smug smile. He had succeeded. Meanwhile, Yao Qi and Jia's faces gradually turned cold and frozen. The reason why his cultivation didn't degrade, and his body didn't shrink after consuming the dark crystal, was because of the dark mystic fire. With the dark mystic fire, it proved that he was Yang Dingtian. However, at that moment, Yang Dingtian's body suddenly changed drastically. His body of the silent clan abruptly shrank into an extremely small ball, and then abruptly expanded. Meanwhile, the mysterious runes on his body suddenly burst out with dazzling silver light. Then his body started to transform horribly. Roar! Roar! His face was becoming sharper and longer, and two fangs suddenly protruded out. His eyes quickly turned deep. The mark on his neck suddenly grew, and turned into a terrifyingly sharp fin. His entire upper body was fiercely lengthening. His hands suddenly extended into terrifyingly sharp claws. Roar! Then he roared into the sky. The entire hall was shaking. Everyone stared at the scene in disbelief. Only Jia and Yao Qi clearly saw that the silent tribe in front of them had turned into a fallen silver dragon. That's right. It was the fallen silver dragon. Soon enough, all the terrifying transformations faded away, and Yang Dingtian gradually reverted back to the appearance of the silent race. At this moment, everyone finally understood why the speechless clan looked so demonic, even though they resembled humans. Because the layout of his facial features was actually similar to the fallen silver dragon. As expected, the silent tribe was the tribe closest to the fallen silver dragon bloodline. Who would have thought that the darkness crystal would trigger such a horrifying change in the silent tribe? At that moment, Yao Qi and Jia were completely and utterly shocked. As for Dongli, he could no longer make any sound. He stood there in a daze without moving. Yang Dingtian, who had turned back into the silent tribe, slowly walked toward him. Looks like you've got the wrong person. Dongli's face trembled. Yes, I'm sorry. Since you've got the wrong person, then your eyes have grown for nothing, right? Yang Dingtian said coldly. Dongli's face instantly turned pale. That's right. Then they've grown for nothing. Yao Qi smiled. Then, she slowly stood up and locked down Dongli's aura. Jia locked down Dongli's aura from another direction. More than 10 demonic fox elites suddenly appeared and surrounded Dongli. Since your eyes have grown for nothing, I'll take them out for you, Yang Dingtian said coldly. Swoosh! Yang Dingtian's two claws that had not completely degenerated pierced Dongli's eye sockets and dug out his eyeballs. Then, he crushed them and pasted them on Dongli's face. In an instant, only 2 black holes were left in Dongli's eye sockets. Black blood flowed out slowly. It was indescribably eerie. Dongli's entire body was trembling. Boundless pain and madness filled his entire body. The pain of losing his light swept through his entire body. However, he did not let out a scream. His entire body was trembling madly. Thank you, Mr. Jiangshang. Can I take my leave now? Dongli bowed and asked. Yao Qi said, This is only Mr. Jiangshang's punishment. My punishment has yet to come. At this moment, the special envoy from the Sea of Hades, Huali suddenly said, Mr. Chairman, please stop. Suddenly, Yao Qi's eyes shrunk. Special envoy Huali said, This is also Ms. Wu Yu's will. I believe you know who she is. Suddenly, Yao Qi's eyes trembled. He waved his hand and said, Get out. If we see you in Indu again, we'll kill you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dongli bowed. Then Special Envoy Huali carried Dongli on his back and quickly left. Yang Dingtian looked at Yao Qi coldly and turned to leave. Jia looked at his back and said to Yao Qi, Mr. Chairman, it seems like Mr. Jiangshang has undergone a huge change after swallowing the darkness crystal. He finally learned how to rage. It seems like he has become a little darker. At this moment, Yang Dingtian suddenly turned back and stared at Jia. You're my fiancé, right? Jia was stunned and said, Yes, Mr. Chairman. Then, Yang Dingtian did not say anything. He grabbed her by the neck and dragged her back to his palace. Jia, whose cultivation was higher than Yang Dingtian, seemed to be suppressed by an invisible force. She did not resist at all, and was dragged away by the neck. Throughout the entire process, Yao Qi did not stop him at all. After returning to his palace, Yang Dingtian threw Jia on the ground and turned into a beast. Chapter 749. Jia did not resist. She even cooperated. However, She remained expressionless throughout the entire process, as if she was a robot. At this moment, Yang Dingtian finally understood what a sculpture was. The woman in front of him was a perfect sculpture. He was beautiful to the extreme, but even a rapist would be dispirited when facing him. Yang Dingtian's violent aura calmed down when he saw her expressionless face. He waved his hand and said, "Let's go, let's go." Jia stood up and said, "Are you sure you don't want to vent the anger and violence in your heart? I'm more than happy to." "No need." Yang Dingtian waved his hand. "Have a good rest then. I'll take my leave." Jia walked out just like that. "Wait," Yang Dingtian said. "Oh, you changed your mind?" Jia said, "Please come." "No," Yang Dingtian said. "When I transformed into the fallen silver dragon, how did you feel?" "Shocked," Jia said. "Don't you feel admiration and passion?" Yang Dingtian asked curiously. "You fox demons have an unparalleled fanaticism toward the fallen silver dragon." Jia said, "First, as a silent clan, you're only closer to the fallen silver dragon bloodline. There's still a fundamental difference between the two. Second, I'm a fox demon, so I'll always think from the perspective of my own interests." "Oh, I understand." Yang Dingtian nodded. "Is there anything else?" Jia asked. "No," Yang Dingtian said. "Then I'll take my leave," Jia said. Jia, who was wearing her silver brocade robe, returned to the main hall. "Sir President, this Jiangshang is very dangerous," Jia said. "Yes, very dangerous," Yaoqi said. "After consuming the dark crystal, he can actually transform into the fallen silver dragon. This will undoubtedly attract the most fanatical worship among the fox demon nobles. The fallen silver dragon is the totem of the entire Little Western Paradise. Once the nobles see his transformation, this Jiangshang will most likely replace me and become the only leader of the entire Little Western Paradise." "So, kill him?" Jia asked. No, Yaoqi said. "That's too much of a waste. Maybe he'll die one day, but it'll be when he's no longer useful." Jia said, "I have another worry. The silent tribe, who originally had no desires, no joy and no anger, actually developed negative emotions after consuming the dark crystal. I think this is the real danger. With the speechless clan's intellect and talent, once lust is born, coupled with the fox demon's fanatical worship of them, they might become the rulers of the entire Little Western Paradise." Yaoqi nodded. Jia continued, "That's why I feel the need to secretly hunt down all the silent tribe in the Little Western Paradise." Yaoqi nodded and said, "Perhaps this mission will still fall on Mr. Jiangshang's head." In the following time, Yang Dingtian, who was pretending to be from the silent race, became the noblest person in the Silver Palace. He was almost on par with Chairman Yaoqi. He could go to any corner of the Silver Palace, including visiting Yao Rao and her son. Of course, he couldn't leave the Silver Palace because he was worried that Dongli and some other traitors would harm him. Yaoqi became extremely respectful in front of him. He bowed like a disciple just like Jia. Not only that, Yaoqi also announced to the entire Little Western Paradise that he was officially Mr. Jiangshang's disciple and would listen to his teachings for the rest of his life. Half a month later, he was going to hold an unprecedented banquet for Mr. Jiangshang. The banquet would be held in the Silver Palace. Almost all the high nobles would be invited. During the banquet, Yaoqi would formally acknowledge Mr. Jiangshang as his lifelong great sage in the Little Western Paradise. A great sage was above a great sage. Yaoqi's previous teacher, Yongxi, was a great sage before he became the chairman. After he left his position, Yongxi was also made a great sage. Hence, Yang Dingtian became the second great sage in the Little Western Paradise. This was a very high position. It was almost no lower than the chairman. It was also a lifelong position. Hence, Yang Dingtian, who was pretending to be Jiangshang from the Speechless clan, became the most respected person in the Little Western Paradise. The fox noble's passion for him reached a whole new level. His inauguration ceremony as a great sage was also held in the banquet half a month later. "Great sage, in 10 days, I will hold the grandest banquet in the history of Little Western Paradise," Yaoqi said. I've already sent out tens of thousands of messengers to inform all the high nobles in the Little Western Paradise. Thank you, Yang Dingtian said calmly. You've seen Yao Rao and her son. How do you feel? Yao Qi asked. Yao Rao succeeded. The child called Yang Yi is a demigod, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi's eyes brightened. I heard that the child is very close to you. Yes, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi said, this child will become my successor in the future. A few hundred years later, he will become the first emperor of the Western Paradise Empire. 1,000 years later, he will become the only supreme emperor of all the dimensions in the chaotic world. Yang Dingtian nodded. He didn't reply. Yao Qi said, you know that I want to marry Yao Rao, but she obviously doesn't want to cooperate. What do you think I should do? Yang Dingtian shook his head. He didn't reply either. Haha, of course, I know that you won't help me with this, Yao Qi said. Then, can I ask you to help me with something? Please, Yang Dingtian said. In the deepest part of the Silver Palace, there's a person imprisoned. His brain contains the secret of the void-splitting fire. Yao Qi said, we all know that the void-splitting fire is in the void border. It's another dimension. But we don't know where the entrance to this dimension is. How do we get there? Instantly, Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat. The void-splitting fire. He finally heard about it. And this person knows. Yang Dingtian said. He knows where the void-splitting fire is? How do we get to the void border dimension? Yes, he knows, Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian said. Then why don't you ask him yourself? He won't tell me, Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian said. Then why do you think he'll tell me? He'll definitely tell you. Because you're from the Speechless clan, Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian said. You want him to tell me? And then I'll tell you? Yes, Yao Qi said. Then why do you think I'll tell you? Could it be that my willpower is inferior to that prisoner? Yang Dingtian asked. You'll definitely tell me, Yao Qi said calmly. All right, you can go and see the prisoner in the underground palace now. Just like before, I'm going to see the enchanting lady. Yang Dingtian was led by two extremely powerful fox demon elites into a deep tunnel in the underground palace. How powerful were the two fox demon elites? Yang Dingtian didn't know. Anyway, in front of them, Yang Dingtian couldn't detect their energy levels at all. This deep underground passageway was really deep to the extreme. How deep was it? 10,000 meters? 100,000 meters? Or even deeper? In the end, they arrived at an underground palace in the deepest part of hell. Here, they couldn't even see their own fingers. There was no light. It was extremely dark. Even with Yang Dingtian's cultivation, he couldn't see anything. Yang Dingtian walked into the prison in the underground palace. The giant door behind him closed slowly. Then the two Speechless clan elites left and returned to the surface. In the entire underground palace, there was only Yang Dingtian, and that prisoner left. Of course, in reality, Yang Dingtian couldn't see the prisoner at all. He didn't even know if he existed. Therefore, he was about to light up the flame. No, don't light it up. This is an unparalleled energy prison. You can't release any energy. Otherwise, everything will turn into ashes, including you and me. Suddenly, a hoarse voice was heard. Yang Dingtian took off his clothes and revealed his Speechless clan body. That was because the runes on his body had a natural glow. Although it was very faint, it was very bright in the extreme darkness. Then he didn't see a person. Instead, he saw a snow-white fox. Its entire body was surrounded by special energy black lines. It couldn't move at all. Speechless clan, Speechless clan. The fox let out an extremely emotional voice. It was trembling and tears were about to flow out. Teacher, teacher, are you the one who sent me to save Little Western Paradise? The fox looked up at the sky and trembled. Yang Dingtian bowed to him and said, Jiang Shang of the Speechless clan greets you, sir. May I know your name? The fox used the most solemn attitude to make himself bow and said, Disciple of the Fox Demon clan, Yongxi greets the Speechless clan's teacher. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was completely stunned. He was Yongxi, Yao Qi's teacher, his biggest political backer. The most outstanding chairman in the history of Little Western Paradise. He was also the only great teacher before Yang Dingtian came. Didn't he go away to avoid the world? How How could he be imprisoned here? Yao Qi went to see Yao Rao again. Yao Rao was still hugging Yang Yi and drawing on the drawing board. But this time, she was drawing Yin Shimen. Yao Qi came to see Yao Rao and her son every day. But Yao Rao treated him like he was nothing. She's very beautiful. She's Yang Dingtian's wife. I think she's called Shimen Yin Shimen, right? Yao Qi smiled. Yao Rao still treated him like air. Yao Qi continued. You draw Yang Dingtian's portrait every day. You draw Shimen Yin's portrait, as if you're going against me. You want baby Yang Yi to remember that they're his family. But in reality, you're just going against yourself. Yao Rao's body suddenly trembled. Yao Qi smiled and said, You're actually afraid that you'll forget Yang Dingtian and Cloud Sky City. You're afraid that one day, you'll compromise with me and fall into my arms. So, you're drawing desperately, so that Yang Dingtian will be engraved in your mind every day. Yao Rao's hand slanted. Suddenly, there was a line that shouldn't be there on the drawing board. Yao Qi said, You might love Yang Dingtian as a family member, but it's very difficult for you to love him as a man and a woman. After all, you're more than 1,000 years old, right? And he's a human after all. I heard that there's nothing between the two of you other than your physical relationship. In reality, the two of you only spent a short time together, so there's no love between the two of you. And the child in your arms is the only thing that's related to him. Yao Rao continued to be quiet. Yao Qi continued, So, I'm not worried at all. And I'm not forcing you. Because I know that one day, you'll forget about it. Even if there's a deep-rooted love, it won't be washed away by time. Moreover, you were only the child's mother and the child's father in the past. Keep drawing. Keep drawing. One day, your drawing will become blurry, until you can't even remember what Yang Dingtian looks like. Yao Rao's body started to tremble, and her lips started to turn pale. Yao Qi said, Of course, your heart is still waiting for Yang Dingtian's arrival. If he comes, even if he can't save you, he only needs to appear in front of you for a moment. Then, all the blurry thoughts will become clear, and your heart will change instantly. You'll have an extremely strong love for him. Love is very simple, but it's also very mysterious. But he won't appear in front of you anymore. Even if you don't want him to come, your heart is yearning for him to come. And in this yearning and waiting, your impression of him will gradually become blurry and fade away, until you're completely in my arms. Yao Qi was poisoning Yao Rao's heart. That's right. Yao Rao didn't want Yang Dingtian to come. She only thought of one thing, which was to wait for Yang Dingtian to become stronger, and then bring her back to Cloud Sky City. But Yao Qi planted a seed in her, waiting for Yang Dingtian to come. Yang Dingtian didn't come in the end. Yao Rao's heart would feel that it was a betrayal, and in the end, she would change her heart in anger and disappointment. That was the poison that Yao Qi planted in her heart. He was a very scary opponent. Seeing that his mother's hand was trembling, Yang Yi suddenly took the paintbrush from his mother's hand and opened his arms to Yao Qi. Yao Qi was stunned. Then he was instantly overwhelmed. This was the demigod tribe, his hope for the future. And this demigod tribe was always cold to him. He always wanted to hug him, but he always ignored him. But then Yang Yi baby actually took the initiative to stretch out his arms. Yao Qi's breathing quickened. Then he immediately hugged Yang Yi baby. Yang Yi, you can't call a thief your father, Yao Rao said angrily. Yang Yi baby's extremely beautiful face smiled at Yao Qi, and Yao Qi quickly smiled back. It was as if he wanted to gather all his emotions and flattery into his smile. Then, Yang Yi baby used the paintbrush and slowly drew a line across his neck. It was a red paintbrush. On Yao Qi's neck, it left a red mark that looked like blood. Throat cut. That's right. Yang Yi baby gave Yao Qi a throat cut. He used a blood-red paintbrush to cut his throat. That meant that in the future, he would use a sharp blade to really cut his throat. By then, what would flow out would not be red paint, but real blood. Yao Qi was instantly stunned. His entire body seemed to have been fixed. He was extremely stiff and couldn't move at all. He felt as if all the other parts of his body had completely disappeared. Only the coldness on his neck was extremely clear. That was obviously a paintbrush, but he really felt as if his throat had been cut open. After a long while, Yao Qi's gaze landed on this extremely beautiful little face. His gem-like eyes were still filled with innocence and peace. The face that was so beautiful that it didn't look like a human was still looking at him innocently. It was as if the throat cut just now wasn't drawn by her. After drawing, Yang Yi baby opened his arms to his mother. Yao Rao was stunned. She instinctively hugged her baby back. Yang Yi took another paintbrush and pointed at the face on the canvas. He said in a baby voice, "Yin Yan's mother." After a long while, Yao Qi seemed to be able to move again. He looked at Yang Yi baby and said, "The god race. The god race. It really is the god race." Then, he suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha ha ha ha. Only a god race like this is worthy to be my successor. Yang Yi, you will only know who is the one who treats you the best when you grow up. I will get the void fire for you. I will get the ruins of the Naga Empire for you. I will build a huge empire for you. In less than 30 years, you will become the crown prince of the entire Western Kingdom." Chapter 750. Deep within the Silver Palace's energy prison. "Your Excellency Yongxi, why are you here?" Yang Dingtian was shocked. Yongxi said, "Because I mistook my disciple for someone else. I thought that he was really going to be on the same side as me." "On the same side? What do you mean?" Yang Dingtian said. "He only wants the fox race to become a half-god race, then unify the Little Western Paradise, and establish the Western Paradise Empire. Then he will rule the entire chaotic world, and create something like the ancient Naga." Yongxi said, "I am the opposite. I feel that neither the Naga nor the fox race is a natural product of the world. One was born from the black dragon, and the other from the silver dragon. They have abnormally strong energy, so they are destined to be destroyed. So my goal is to destroy the fox race, and leave the normal fox race behind. Then, I will lead them to walk a more stable path. When the time comes, I will let them work with humans, and get through this dangerous chaotic world." When Yang Dingtian heard this, he was stunned. In Yao Qi's mouth, and even in some secret documents, it wasn't like that. Yongxi was a firm believer of the fox race. More than 300 years ago, he had once conversed with a member of the silent race for an entire day and night, leaving behind a beautiful story in the entire world. He publicly announced that during that one day and night, the wisdom that the silent race had left behind for him was something he could enjoy for the rest of his life. But in private, especially in front of Yao Qi, he had a very harsh view of the silent race. He felt that the silent race's negative view of the world was extremely stupid. He also told Yao Qi that the true stupidity of the world was the wisdom that saw through everything. There was no point in living like that, so the silent race should just die. True wisdom was playing with the so-called truth. Yang Dingtian said, 300 years ago, you met a senior from the silent race? Yes, I did. We even talked for a day and a night. Yongxi said. Yang Dingtian said, that day and night of talk gave you a lot of political prestige. You publicly said that the silent race had given you wisdom that you could enjoy for the rest of your life? Yongxi said, that's right. Yang Dingtian continued. But what you told Yao Qi in private was the complete opposite. You despise the speechless clan for being so passive and reclusive. You think that their words are complete bullshit, but you have no choice but to endure these detached and passive remarks for the sake of political spectacle? Yongxi said, that's right. That's what I told Yao Qi. Furthermore, I told him that the silent race seemed to be the smartest, but they were actually the stupidest. True intelligence is to play with the truth and not let anything become an obstacle in your way. Yongxi continued, however, I have no choice but to tell Yao Qi this. I can't let anyone know that my thoughts have changed. In the past, I had the same idea as Yao Qi. I wanted the Fox Demon tribe to become a demigod tribe like Naga and dominate the entire universe. I felt that no one could change my mind. Even in my heart, I had already formulated a grand strategy. So, I chose to run for the position of speaker. Because I had a very high reputation and reputation, I succeeded. Just as I was about to carry out my strategy of dominating the Fox Demon tribe, a speechless clan member found me and talked to me for a day and a night. Then he changed your mind? Yang Dingtian asked. Yongxi said, Can you change Yao Qi's mind? Yang Dingtian said. No, his mind is very firm. Yongxi said, my mind is also very firm. No one can use any words or any truth to persuade me to change my mind. Not to mention the speechless clan. Even the gods can't do it. Let alone a day and a night. Even a year or 10 years can't do it. Because my life's creed is very simple. I have to move forward, do whatever it takes, and destroy all obstacles. Even the truth is no exception. Yang Dingtian said. Then, how did this speechless clan senior do it? How did he persuade you to change your mind in a day and a night? Yongxi said he didn't say. Instead, he made me realize my dream. The dream of the fox demon tribe dominating the world. How is that possible? Yang Dingtian said. Yongxi said, he didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken, but he was also a very powerful spirit master. He pulled me into a very deep level of meditation. Although in the real world, we only talked for a day and a night. In the deepest level of meditation, I stayed for an endless amount of time. Maybe thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands of years, maybe even longer. Yongxi said with a confused look. In the meditation world, I successfully obtained the Void Fisher Fire, and successfully entered the ruins of the Naga Empire. Then, I successfully established the Western Kingdom, and successfully gave birth to the Demigod clan. Finally, we rushed out of the plain door with the humans and destroyed the Human Kingdom, the Underworld Kingdom, and the Underworld Kingdom. In the end, we successfully ruled all the planes in the Chaos world, and became the only overlords of the universe with the Naga clan. But our desire had no end. Our desire for power had no end. So we went crazy and hunted all the energy in the world. We killed all the intelligent life forms, and all the demon beasts, in order to monopolize all the energy in the Chaos world. After killing all the other life forms, we began to kill each other. At first we killed the low-level demon foxes, but in the end, we even killed the high-level ones. In the end, I killed all the competitors. I became the most powerful life form in history, but I also became the only life form in the Chaos world. Yongxi paused for a moment, then said, I reached my ultimate goal, to become the only god in the Chaos world. But the entire Chaos world had become a land of death. There were no other life forms. Then I lived for an endless amount of time. I only had endless loneliness. Finally, I couldn't bear this loneliness, so I chose to commit suicide. But sadly, I was already a god. Even if I wanted to die, I couldn't die. I could only live like this for an endless amount of time. Yang Dingtian fell into silence. Just thinking about this kind of life made him shudder. Yongxi was silent for a long time, then said, Then suddenly, I woke up and found that I was dreaming. In the world of meditation, I had an incomparably long dream. But this dream was incomparably real. At least for me, it was a completely real experience. So without needing any persuasion, I gave up on my so-called ideal. Because no matter how strong you are, when you are the only person in the world, then extreme strength is extreme weakness. Everything is meaningless. Yang Dingtian nodded. That's right. That senior of the Silent Clan was indeed a supreme sage. He used absolute methods to make Yongxi change his ideals and will. Yongxi said, Mr. Jiangshang, what do you think is the driving force for a life form, or a race's development? Is it desire? Yang Dingtian shook his head. Anyone who denies desire is a hypocrite. On the other hand, anyone who only recognized desire was a shameless person. There is only one eternal driving force for any intelligent life form, and that is survival. But many people interpret it as desire, and the two are indeed very, very similar, even more so than twins. But even if there is a 1 in 10,000 difference, it is still different. Mr. Jiangshang, you are indeed a sage. Yongxi said, In fact, I also thought about it for a long, long time. After understanding this principle, I also confirmed that survival is the only driving force for an intelligent life form. Then, I fully understood that the so-called essence of survival is continuation. The high-level demon fox race has a lifespan of several thousand years. They have already occupied almost all the resources of the Little Western Paradise. And because of their endless lifespan, they selfishly gave up on continuation because fewer and fewer demon fox nobles are willing to give birth. Thus, I spent a total of 100 years to guide the Western Paradise's civilization from the martial path to the illusory arts and social classes, especially the almost perverted blood theory. Because of this, in less than 2,000 to 3,000 years, almost all the demon fox nobles will be destroyed. Even if someone wants to stop it, they won't be able to. So that's how it is. Yang Dingtian finally understood why this chairman Yong. She wanted to lead the demon fox aristocrats to the brink of decay and destruction. He wanted the demon fox race to be reborn, to let the ordinary demon fox race become the ruler of the little Western paradise. He wanted the demon fox race to return to the right track. Yang Dingtian was absolutely unable to be so cold, heartless, and self-destructive. How can you be so cruel? Yang Dingtian said. If it was me, even if I knew it was right, I wouldn't be able to do it. Because someone demonstrated it to me, Yongxi said. Actually, your silent tribe is much more intelligent and talented than us. They have the ability to dominate the world. But they can see the result of dominating the world, so they gave up. In order to completely prevent the future world from being destroyed, they gave up on prolonging their lives. In the end, they even completely gave up on life. For example, the sage of the silent tribe that I talked to for a day and a night, after talking to him, he chose to pass away. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with endless respect. Previously, Yang Dingtian also judged the silent tribe lightly, thinking that they were too passive and shunned the world. But he didn't know that they were truly intelligent. They rejected the temptation of the fallen silver dragon, and used their absolute intelligence and will, as well as supreme sentiments to save the world. Otherwise, with their intelligence and talent, they could go further than the Naga race. Yongxi said, Actually, I was very close to success. I was re-elected for 2 terms. Then, I gave the next step of the strategy to my successor, Yao Qi. And he very well. He concealed it in front of me, deceived me, and successfully let me push him to the position of chairman. Then everything that happened you already know. He is on the path of destroying the world. The so-called Void Fisher Fire, and the ruins of the Naga Empire, were his first step. Ruling the Little Western Paradise, and establishing the Western Paradise Empire was his second step. Giving birth to a demigod descendant was his third step. No, this third step. He is already halfway to success, Yang Dingtian said. Because a demigod descendant of the fox tribe did appear. What? Yongxi suddenly trembled, then took a deep breath and said, Mr. Jiang Shang, when I was about to walk on the path of destroying the world, the sage of the silent tribe came to my side and stopped everything. Now, Yao Qi is on the path of destroying the world, so you appeared. You are here to stop him, right? You can stop him, right? Yang Dingtian was silent for a moment, then shook his head and said, Sorry, I can't change his mind. Why can't you change it? Yongxi said, You can bring him to the meditation world and achieve his ideal hegemony there. It's just like what the silent clan did to me. Yang Dingtian was silent for a moment, then shook his head and said, Sorry, I still can't do it. Why can't you do it? Yao Qi's will can't be stronger than mine, unless. Yongxi suddenly trembled, then looked at Yang Dingtian. Unless you are not. He didn't finish his words. Unless you are not from the silent tribe. Yang Dingtian didn't admit or deny it. But this meant that he admitted it. Actually, admitting it at this time was an extremely dangerous thing. And very smart people wouldn't admit it. But Yang Dingtian still admitted it. And Yongxi understood. But don't worry. This is an absolute energy prison. And no one can eavesdrop. Yongxi was silent for a long time. Are you on his side? Yongxi suddenly asked. No, it will never be possible. Yang Dingtian spoke word by word. You and I are absolutely like-minded individuals. Come here, put your heart under my palm. Yongxi said. Yang Dingtian did as he was told. Suddenly, it was as if a strand of energy entered Yang Dingtian's heart. After a long time, Yongxi said, Oh, I understand. That's right. You can't be on Yao Qi's side. You are the king of humans, Yang Dingtian, right? Yang Dingtian nodded. I know many of your stories and miracles through an old friend. Yongxi said. Yang Dingtian didn't ask who it was. Yongxi said, he is here to ask you about the void-splitting fire, right? Child, I have bad news. Yongxi said. Yao Qi has seen through you, or rather he saw through you a long time ago. Yang Dingtian was shocked, as if he was struck by lightning. How is that possible? Yongxi said, nothing is impossible. Yao Qi can see through my heart and successfully deceive me. So what is impossible for him to see through you? How did you become the silent tribe? Yang Dingtian said, I swallowed Yao Li's silver dragon crystal. How is that possible? Yongxi said, the silver dragon bloodline can't enter the human body. Yang Dingtian said, I am the special one. And I was the one who gave birth to the demigod fox descendant. Yongxi was shocked for a long time, then said, then, no wonder he saw through you. Because every silver dragon blood crystal is recorded in a silver dragon illusory mirror. This is the Little Western Paradise's biggest secret. And this silver dragon illusory mirror is in the hands of every chairman. It symbolizes the highest authority of the Little Western Paradise. And it is also a top secret. And after the chairman leaves office, all secrets about the silver dragon illusory mirror will be washed away. Of course, because my brain was modified by the silent tribe's ancestors, it can't be washed away. So this top secret was kept. So the moment Yao Li's silver dragon blood crystal entered your body, he saw through you. Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air. Yao Qi was so cunning. And this so-called silver dragon illusory mirror controlled all the silver dragon blood crystals. And only the previous chairman knew about it. It sounded like the nuclear button of a big country on Earth. Yang Dingtian said, he saw through me long ago, but he didn't kill me. So he let me meet you, and get the secret of the void-splitting fire? Yes, Yongxi said, because I am a spiritual master, and the silent tribe's ancestors modified my brain. So he can't use any spiritual methods to find the secret in my brain. But he can get it from you, as long as I tell you. Yang Dingtian said, but you can choose not to tell me. Yongxi said, no, I will tell you, because I trust the silent tribe. Yang Dingtian said, but I am a fake silent tribe member. Yongxi said, but Yao Qi thinks I can't know you are a fake. Because in reality, I can't tell you are a fake at all. But you admitted it yourself. Yao Qi has no other plans. But he is too cunning to understand your nobility and sincerity. So he missed one point. And you risked your life to admit that you are a fake. Yongxi continued, this is Yao Qi's only flaw, and our only chance to defeat him. Then, Yongxi closed his eyes for a long time, thinking quickly. Then he opened his eyes and said, Yao Qi's goal is the void-splitting fire, and he can get it through your brain. Then we will beat him at his own game, and use the void-splitting fire to kill him. Yang Dingtian was shocked. Can you do that, Senior? Yongxi said, it's very difficult, or it's completely impossible. Because to them, your brain domain is no secret at all. You can lie with your mouth, but you can never lie with your brain. Unless your brain has been modified by an extremely powerful spiritual master. Yang Dingtian said, modified? How? Yongxi said, it's very simple. It's to isolate an absolutely safe area in your brain. Then, all important information will be placed in this area, and no spiritual master will be able to read it. Yang Dingtian heard this, and immediately thought of his space ring. In the real world, this was an absolutely safe isolated area, and no one would be able to discover it. Then, Yang Dingtian's brain moved, and he immediately woke up Poisa, saying, Sha, do you have a way to isolate an absolutely safe area in my brain, and no spiritual master will be able to read it? Queen Poisa said, of course it's easy. Your brain area is my absolute home field, and I can easily block any area, and no one will be able to read it. Yang Dingtian said, yes, I can block any area in my brain. Yongxi's eyes brightened, really? Yes, Yang Dingtian said. Yongxi said, good, then according to our plan, Yao Qi will definitely die. Yang Dingtian said, go ahead. Yongxi said, I'll tell you two pieces of information. The first one is real, and after you hear it, you have to completely isolate it in a certain area of your brain, and it will only open after a month. The second one is fake, and it will stay in your brain. So, during this month, even you will think that the second one is fake, and that the first one doesn't exist. Only then can you fool Yao Qi's spiritual master, understand? Yang Dingtian nodded, understood. Yongxi said, good. Then I'll tell you the first piece of information that's real. The Void Fisher Fire will bloom in 89 days, 16 hours and 30 minutes. The entrance to the Void Border is at the bottom of the ocean, under the Silver Moon Clan's endless peak. This entrance is like a black hole, and it will appear 13 days before the Void Fisher Fire blooms. But it will only open when the Void Fisher Fire is about to bloom. When it's not open, no one can enter. Yang Dingtian said, then how do I devour it? Yongxi said, after entering the Void Border, you have to remember that other than the completely dark continent, everything else you see is actually the Void Fisher Fire. You just have to jump into the abyss, and it'll be the same as jumping into the Void Fisher Fire, and it'll be the same as swallowing the Void Fisher Fire, because the Void Fisher Fire's attribute is spatial travel. Yang Dingtian said, Your Excellency Yongxi, how did you know this secret? Yongxi said, because 300 years ago, in the meditation world that the Speechless Clan sage created for me, I obtained the Void Fisher Fire this way. Yang Dingtian nodded. Yongxi said, then do you remember this piece of information? Yang Dingtian said, yes. Yongxi said, good, then seal this piece of information, as well as the memories from before until you admitted to pretending to be the Speechless Clan, and open them after a month. Yang Dingtian said, okay. Then Yang Dingtian said to Queen Poisa, Sha, seal all the memories after I said that I can't change Yao Qi's mind. Okay. Queen Poisa said, you have to completely lower your defenses. Yang Dingtian's mind instantly entered a clear and defenseless state, and then he felt a white light in his brain, and this memory was instantly sealed. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian seemed to be in a daze for a moment. When he woke up again, all the memories from after he admitted to pretending to be the Speechless Clan were sealed and disappeared. He shook his head lightly and said, I'm sorry, Master Yongxi, I can't do it. I can't change Yao Qi's mind. Yongxi sighed softly and said, oh, you're not a sage who specializes in the mind. Then may I ask what you specialize in? Wisdom survival philosophy, Yang Dingtian said. Yongxi said, then there's another way to cut off Yao Qi's ambition. His first goal is to get the Void Fire, and then the Naga's treasure. You have to be one step ahead of him, and get the Void Fire. Without the Void Fire and the Naga's treasure, his plan to dominate the world will lose at least half of its support. Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat. He said, then, how do I get the Void Fire? Yongxi said, remember, the Void Fire will bloom in 79 days, 16 hours and 30 minutes. The entrance to the Void Border is at the bottom of the Silver Moon Clan's endless peak. You need the energy of the dark crystal in your body to enter the Void Border through this entrance. After you enter, when you see the world inside light up, other than the dark land, the rest of the light and shadows are all void crack flames. You just have to jump down, and you'll be able to obtain void crack flames, because its attribute is spatial travel. At this moment, Yang Dingtian obviously didn't know that this information was fake. He would only know after a month when the real information was revealed. The real time for the Void Fire to bloom was 89 days, 16 hours and 30 minutes later. At this moment, Yongxi said that it would take 79 days, 16 hours and 30 minutes. There was a difference of 10 days. The entrance to the Void Border was opened 2 hours before the mystic fire bloomed. Yongxi said that it could only be opened with the energy of the dark crystal. His goal was to lure Yao Qi to use the dark crystal. As a silver dragon, once Yao Qi used the dark crystal, he would be devoured by the two terrifying energies. He would be torn apart and die. Yongxi said, do you remember? Mr. Jiangshang. Yang Dingtian said, yes, I do. Yongxi said, please remember my words. Be one step ahead of him and get the Void Fire. Destroy Yao Qi's strategic support. Yes, Yang Dingtian said. Then he bowed and left. Chapter 751, Yang Dingtian returned to the surface from the dungeon. The two demonic fox elites immediately brought him to see Yao Qi. Yao Qi was at the side of a beautiful lake. It was a mirror-like lake. There was a pavilion in the middle of the lake that was covered in moss. At the end of the lake was a mountain of red leaves. Indu was a city filled with sci-fi and even magic. It was rare to see such an oriental classical scenery. Yao Qi was in the pavilion in the middle of the lake. The two demonic fox elites brought Yang Dingtian and flew over. When they reached the pavilion, they flew away like kites. Only Yang Dingtian and Yao Qi were left in the pavilion. How was the conversation? Yao Qi asked. Not bad, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi asked. Did he tell you the secret of the splitting void fire? Yang Dingtian replied. That's right. But he also saw this secret in the meditation illusion realm. Yao Qi said. So will you tell me? Yang Dingtian said. No. Yao Qi said. Even if I threaten you with your life, you won't tell me. Yes, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi pointed at a bird not far away and said. Do you see that bird? I see it. It's a red bird, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi said. It will keep flying above the lake. It won't leave the lake and won't enter the water. This lake is only about 15 acres. It's completely within your sight. How about we make a bet? Yang Dingtian said. What bet? Yao Qi said. You stare at the bird and I'll stare at your eyes. Your eyes have to follow the bird. If you lose it, I won't be able to see the bird's reflection in your eyes. Then, either you tell me the secret of the splitting void fire or you die. Of course, if you don't lose it and keep following the bird, you win. You don't have to tell me the secret of the splitting void fire, and you won't die. Yang Dingtian didn't reply. Yao Qi said, I can warn you. No matter what the other things are, this bet is definitely real. As long as you lose, either you tell me or you die. Yang Dingtian nodded. All right. Then, his gaze locked onto the bird. The lake was about 15 mu, which was about 10,000 square meters. It was a regular circle, and Yang Dingtian was standing in the center of the circle. The radius of the lake was about 55 meters, which meant that the bird could not go further than 55 meters. This distance might be a little far to an ordinary person's vision, but it wasn't worth mentioning to Yang Dingtian. Then, Yang Dingtian trembled violently. Instantly, the pavilion beside him was reduced to ashes. Because the 4 pillars of the pavilion would block the view, Yang Dingtian's line of sight could not be blocked, not even for a second. How long will it take? Yang Dingtian asked. Half an hour, Yao Qi said. That was 7 to 8 minutes. To an ordinary person, it was impossible for them to not blink for 7 to 8 minutes. Even for the experts in the chaotic world, it was difficult for them to not blink for 7 to 8 minutes. They could choose to blink alternately, but to Yang Dingtian, it wasn't even worth mentioning, because the speechless clan could not blink for a year. In other words, they would often stare blankly at a place, and then stand there for a year without moving, because they were deep in thought. Therefore, this bet was a piece of cake for Yang Dingtian. However, he knew that Yao Qi's bet was not as simple as he thought. You can start now, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi took out an hourglass and floated at the side. Then, he stared at Yang Dingtian's eyes while Yang Dingtian stared at the bird. It was a beautiful bird. It was about the size of a human fist. It was fiery red and very eye-catching. At that moment, it was only 20 meters away from Yang Dingtian. Moreover, it was flying in a circle with him as the center. It was very regular, and its flight path did not change at all. It kept flying merrily. However, no matter where it flew, Yang Dingtian's eyes followed it closely. However, his speed was getting faster and faster and faster. As it flew, Yang Dingtian's body spun quickly too. His eyes were always in a straight line with the bird. It flew faster and faster, faster and faster, faster and faster. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It flew faster and faster, faster and faster, until it reached an extreme speed. Then it disappeared. That's right, it disappeared. Because the basic reaction time of the human eye was 0.2 seconds. In other words, when the reflection time of something in your eyes was shorter than that, the human eye would not be able to see it. That was Yao Qi's plan. It was a bet that he would definitely lose. At that moment, the bird was about 20 meters away from Yang Dingtian. Then it flew in a circle with Yang Dingtian as the center. In other words, it flew 125.6 meters in a circle. It completed the circle in 0.2 seconds. In other words, the bird's flying speed was more than 6,000 meters per second. It was 20 times the speed of sound. In this world, of course, there was no bird that could fly faster than 20 times the speed of sound. No bird could do that. It was an energy shadow, so it could do that. At that moment, even Yao Qi could not see the bird, let alone Yang Dingtian. Therefore, this was a bet that Yang Dingtian would definitely lose. Yang Dingtian spun his body quickly, and Yao Qi followed suit. He stared at Yang Dingtian's eyes but never blocked his vision. He was waiting for the moment the bird disappeared from Yang Dingtian's eyes. Then he would win. There was no meaning in defeating Yang Dingtian in terms of strength. Only by defeating him, in terms of intelligence, would he feel a sense of accomplishment. Therefore he had to win. But the shocking thing was, the bird was still reflected in Yang Dingtian's eyes. He even felt that it was not flying. It was completely still. That was because it flew 50 circles in a second. And Yang Dingtian also spun 50 circles in a second. Yao Qi knew about this theory. But the bird should have disappeared. Why could he still see it? Yao Qi could not help but turn around to look at the bird. He could not see it at all. Why could he see it? In fact, Yang Dingtian was very shocked too. When the light stopped in the eyes for less than 0.2 seconds, human eyes would not be able to see it. In fact, human eyes would not be able to see it even before that. But Yang Dingtian's eyes were no longer human eyes. They were the eyes of the speechless race. It seemed to have the ability to focus, and follow the focus automatically. Therefore, no matter how fast the bird flew, it was completely meaningless to him, because his eyes were completely locked on. However fast the bird was, the speed of his eyes was as fast as the bird's speed. Therefore, it was always in focus. To him, the bird was always still. Therefore, Yao Qi was very powerful. This was a bet that he would definitely lose. To Yang Dingtian, this was a bet that he would definitely win. Unless the bird's flying speed was faster than Yang Dingtian's spinning speed, Yang Dingtian would not be able to win. With Yang Dingtian's current cultivation, it was not a problem for him to spin a few hundred circles per second. That meant that the bird's speed was more than 10,000 meters per second, or even more than 100,000 meters per second. However, Yao Qi's bet only lasted for 15 minutes. The bird could not possibly speed up to that number within that time. Therefore, Yao Qi lost. Suddenly, a sentence echoed in Yang Dingtian's ears. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? His heart skipped a beat. He knew that Yao Qi had asked someone to investigate the secrets in his mind. The principle of resisting a mental attack was simple. You just had to find the target of the attack and defend against it. However, although it sounded simple, it was in fact extremely difficult. If the opponent's mental power was far greater than yours, then the defense would be meaningless. Yao Qi's words rang in Yang Dingtian's ears again and again. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? It was like hypnosis, repeating over and over again. At the moment, Yang Dingtian had to lock onto the red bird that was flying faster and faster. He also had to resist Yao Qi's powerful mental attack. The opponent's powerful mental power surged wildly, destroying his will. If it was Yang Dingtian himself, he would not be able to resist such a powerful mental attack while multitasking. However, he could now. He realized a very mysterious thing about this body. That was, he could separate his eyes and brain completely, so that they would not interfere with each other. It was impossible for humans to do that. That was because everything that the eyes saw had to be processed through the brain. Hence, this meant that Yang Dingtian could not block his brain. If he could not block his brain, then the enemy's mental power would be everywhere. However, he could completely block it now. His eyes were still staring at the red bird. However, he did not need to form an image in his mind. That was because he only needed to let Yao Qi see the reflection in his pupils. Then, he could completely defend against Yao Qi's mental attack. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? Yao Qi's questions were getting louder and faster. She was even getting impatient. That was because the 15 minutes were almost up. The sand in the hourglass was about to run out. 15 seconds. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? 10 seconds. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? 8 seconds. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? 5 seconds. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? 3 seconds. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? 1 second. When will the void-splitting fire bloom? Where is it? How do I devour it? Ding! Time was up. The sand in the hourglass had run out. Yang Dingtian had won the bet. Not only the bet, but Yang Dingtian had also won Yao Qi's mental attack. Instantly, Yang Dingtian heaved a sigh of relief. His gaze relaxed and he almost fainted. As for the bird, it immediately slowed down and flew leisurely on the surface of the lake. Yao Qi looked at Yang Dingtian with a complicated expression. She sighed and said, "Mr. Jiang Shang, you are indeed amazing. You have won." Yang Dingtian said, "So can I leave now?" "Of course," Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian said, "Will you never ask this question again?" Yao Qi said, "I'll never ask again. You've won the bet, and you've won completely." "Then I will take my leave," Yang Dingtian said. "Please," Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian bounced lightly and flew out of the pavilion. Then, under the protection of 2 demonic fox elites, he returned to his palace. After Yang Dingtian left, suddenly, the surrounding scenery changed completely. The beautiful lake disappeared. The red leaves forest in the distance disappeared. It was a completely dark hall. It was so dark that it was almost empty. It was a circular hall. Then the flying red bird landed beside Yao Qi. It turned from a bird into a human. It was an extremely old demonic fox. He was wearing a blood-red cape. He was so skinny that he was almost like a withered branch. "I have failed. Even now he has resisted my mental attack," Yao Qi said. Is he really from the speechless tribe? The extremely old demonic fox was blind. He had lost his eyes. He was a mental attack master. The most powerful mental attack master around Yao Qi. Everything that Yang Dingtian saw was a mental illusion created by him. The mental attack master was so powerful that he could kill any human mental attack master in seconds. "Then, master, did you succeed?" Yao Qi asked in the demonic fox's ancient language. The demonic fox mental attack master nodded. Then, he handed over a piece of cloth with both hands. "I don't know who he is, but his mental defense is unprecedentedly strong. Your mental attack did not work. I turned into a bird and let him chase me. I took the chance to lock onto his eyes. But during the entire process, my mental attack was useless. I could not see any information in his eyes," the demonic fox mental attack master said. Yao Qi said, "Then why did you succeed?" The demonic fox mental attack master said, "Because the time in the hourglass was up. He won completely. So he relaxed completely. I quickly read a string of words in his eyes. Of course, I did not recognize the words, but I recorded it all." Just now, Yao Qi kept asking, "When will the void fire bloom? Where? How do I devour?" She asked countless times. It was like hypnosis. Yang Dingtian locked his mind and did not think about it at all. As long as he did not think about it, the answer would not be revealed. However, the moment he won, his mind relaxed. Instantly, the answer appeared in his mind automatically. The mental attack master interpreted it instantly. It had to be said that this was an unparalleled mental attack master. As for Yang Dingtian, he did indeed possess an unparalleled spiritual defense. Perhaps it did not belong to his mental willpower, but it was extremely strong. Yao Qi took the piece of cloth that the mental attack master gave her and walked out of the mental attack hall. She returned to her room and opened it. Then, she was completely astonished. The words on it were neatly written. The void fire will bloom in 79 days, 16 hours and 30 minutes. The entrance to the void border is at the bottom of the Silver Moon Clan's endless peak. You need the energy of the dark crystal in your body to enter the void border through this entrance. Once you enter, you will see that the world inside is lit up. Other than the dark land, the rest of the light and shadows are all void crack flames. All you have to do is jump down, and you will be able to obtain void crack flames. This is because its attribute is spatial transference. That was right. This was the second message that Yongxi gave Yang Dingtian. It was a fake message to trick Yao Qi. The purpose was to kill Yao Qi. However, even Yang Dingtian did not know this. He had always thought that this was the real message, so he tried his best to defend against it. Of course, this also made Yao Qi believe in the authenticity of this message even more. It could be said that Yongxi's plan was perfect. There were no flaws. However, the only flaw was that Yao Qi did not recognize the words on the cloth. She had never even seen them before, because they were Chinese characters from Earth. Yang Dingtian was an Earthling, so when he thought he revealed Chinese characters, the mental attack master recorded it down faithfully. Chapter 752. Yao Qi, who had obtained this Chinese character, instinctively wanted to find a way to decipher it from Yang Dingtian. However, he quickly gave up. Not only would he not get what he wanted, but it would also alert Yang Dingtian. Therefore, Yao Qi went to the largest library in Indu and found the oldest scholar. Then, he passed the parchment with 3 Chinese characters on it to him and said, "Elder, have you seen these words before?" Yao Qi had purposely extracted these 3 words from Yang Dingtian's words. They were the first word, the middle word, and the last word. The reason why he chose these 3 words was because there was a chance that the words of various civilizations would be repeated. For example, the words of the Little Western Paradise were the same as the words of the human countries in the chaotic world. Although there were not many words, there were still dozens of them. With these 3 words, the probability of accidental contact could be eliminated. However, he could not choose too many words. If someone could understand these words, they might be able to guess the meaning. He was the only one who knew the secret of the void-rending flame. The scholar, who was 4,000 to 5,000 years old, had taken these 3 words before. Actually, these 3 words were void realm and surpass. The strokes of these 3 words were more complicated. The chances of them being similar to the words of other civilizations was almost 0. It was as if he had sunk into endless memories. He was a fox demon who had little interest in martial arts. For thousands of years, he had been flipping through books. He flipped through the books of every race, so he knew almost all the words in the chaotic world. Actually, it was rare to see such an old man in the fox demon race. His body was wrinkled like tree bark. Yao Qi held his breath and waited for his reply. After a long while, the elder said, "I've searched through all my memories. I know almost all the words in this world. However, I don't recognize these 3 words. I don't even know which dimension they come from." Yao Qi first felt a sense of loss, but immediately after, she felt a surge of curiosity towards Yang Dingtian. The fox demon elder in front of him was completely proficient in all the words in this world. He could even recognize the words of the ancient underwater civilization. However, he did not recognize these 3 words. It seemed that his identity as a great sage was far from simple. The deeper the secret of these 3 words was, the more mysterious Yang Dingtian's identity would be. "However, I've seen these words before," the fox elder said. "Although it's not the same word, I can guarantee that it's the same language, because the logic of their words is exactly the same." Yao Qi said, "Then do you remember where you saw it? Are they all those words?" The fox elder said, "It's a very, very random memory. I really can't remember." Yao Qi said, "I am a spirit master. Can I help you?" The demon fox elder said, "Mental strength masters can only forcefully erase a person's memories, or they can remove their mental defenses and use hypnotism to induce certain memory fragments. But he wasn't a god, so he couldn't enter my head and search through my memories. In fact, how many years do I have in my memory? Therefore, spirit masters can't help me." Yao Qi said, "Then is there nothing we can do?" The fox elder said, "I need to meditate. If it's convenient, please leave these 3 words with me." Yao Qi said, Of course. Thank you for your help. The fox elder sat in his seat and slowly closed his eyes, starting to search through his memories. This was a very, very long process. Yao Qi couldn't wait here. Leaving the words, there was just a very elegant way for the scholar to do so. Even though he had destroyed the 3 words, the shape of the words had already been imprinted in the elder's mind. Then, I'll take my leave. Yao Qi bowed. The fox elder didn't reply. Yao Qi left the library and continued to search for other ways to decipher the words. After that, the demon fox scholar continued to meditate. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. He still couldn't find any clues in his memories, so he burned the parchment. Then he took out the parchment and pen, writing the 3 words over and over again, trying to find inspiration from the middle, trying to find some bits and pieces of his memories. Then, one of his students noticed the elder's strange behavior. It was a beautiful woman, a beautiful fox elder. She was about 2,000 years old, and was also a scholar. She was never married. He walked over and said to the elder, "Teacher, teacher." The fox elder was completely immersed in his own world. He couldn't hear him at all. The beautiful demon fox scholar walked over and looked at him as he wrote these 3 Chinese characters over and over again. Void realm, transcendence. He shouted 2 more times and finally gave up. He turned around and left. Of course, Yao Qi would not place all of his hopes on the elderly scholar. In fact, he had used everything he had in the past few days to find countless knowledgeable demon foxes to recognize the 3 words. However, these 3 words seemed to have come from another world. Not a single fox demon knew what these words meant. Not a single person knew what they were. Actually, there was another way. Yang Dingtian might teach the words to the people around him. Therefore, he just needed to get Yang Dingtian's family to decipher the words. That would be enough. However, he didn't want to do that until he had no other choice. Of course, he didn't have a belief that he shouldn't implicate his family. However, he instinctively avoided that. He felt that as a king, doing something like that might be very despicable. However, he would sometimes think that a king should be unscrupulous. Therefore, he made a decision. He would go and see the last person. If that person still couldn't give him an answer, he would send people to the human countries and capture all of Yang Dingtian's family. Yao Qi easily found Huali, the Sea of Nether emissary. "I want to see your faction leader, Wu Yu," Yao Qi said. "Sorry, our faction leader won't enter Little Western Paradise," Huali said. Yao Qi said, "Then we can meet at the border between Little Western Paradise and the human countries." Huali, the Sea of Nether emissary, said, "I'll go and report. However, it's up to the faction leader to decide whether or not to meet." Yao Qi said, "Of course." Huali, the Sea of Nether emissary, left. When Yao Qi returned to the Silver Palace, she ordered her 2 trusted subordinates. "Go and hide in the human nation's Cloud Heaven City. If you don't receive the order to cancel the mission 5 days later, bring all the family members of the Cloud Heaven City Lord, Yang Dingtian. Kill anyone who tries to stop you." Yes. The 2 demonic fox clan elites instantly disappeared from the main hall. 2 days later, Yao Qi and Wu Yu appeared in the Palace of the Skull. This palace was the border between the human countries and Little Western Paradise. "Long time no see," Yao Qi said. "Long time no see," Wu Yu said. Then, the 2 of them fell into silence. After a long while, Yao Qi said, You're still beautiful. No, you're even more beautiful than before. So beautiful that I can't look at you directly." Wu Yu said calmly. "What? Am I more beautiful than your so-called fiancé?" "More beautiful. She is just a good wife and mother. You, on the other hand, have a magical beauty." Yao Qi's eyes blurred. Wu Yu sneered. "So what? You're still abandoned by your teacher." Yao Qi said, "No, my teacher's heart hurts a lot. You're the only love of his life. Of course, it's also me. But your bloodline is too special. All those who tried to take it from the human countries all failed. That's why my teacher saw you as his only hope. That's why he was willing to let you leave his side and go to the human countries." Wu Yu smiled. "Unfortunately, I didn't succeed either. You might not know this, so I gave myself a name, Wu Yu. It has 2 meanings. The first one is that my lower body is clean and flawless. I don't have any dirt from a woman. The other meaning is that I will never have children. Yao Qi's face twitched. She didn't reply to Wu Yu's harsh words. Wu Yu said, Mr. Yao Qi, may I know why you're looking for me? Are you forcing me to mate with Yang Dingtian? No, I wouldn't dare. Yao Qi lowered her head and said, in my heart, you'll always be the person I respect and love the most. You're also my goddess. For a very long time, I grew up under your care. Wu Yu said, all right, tell me why you're here. Yao Qi took out a piece of parchment. There were still 3 Chinese characters on it. Void Realm Surpass. May I know if you recognize these 3 characters? Yao Qi asked. Wu Yu's eyes narrowed. Yao Qi caught his expression instantly. His heart skipped a beat. I don't know the meaning of these 3 characters. Wu Yu said calmly. But I know what these 3 characters are. I also know that Yang Dingtian is in your hands, right? Yao Qi's face twitched. She said, do you want to save him? No, it doesn't matter if he lives or dies. Wu Yu said calmly. These 3 characters don't belong to this world. They come from another world. In the chaotic world, there are only 2 people who can truly master these characters. Who? Yao Qi asked. Yang Dingtian and the Demon King Wentian, Wu Yu said. Yao Qi said, so you're saying that I can't get the annotation of these characters? You don't understand these characters either. Yes, I don't, Wu Yu said. Yao Qi sighed softly and didn't say anything. It seemed like there was no other way. They could only go and capture Yang Dingtian's wife and children. Wu Yu suddenly said, actually, there's another person. He's neither Yang Dingtian nor the Demon King Wentian. But he knows the meaning of these characters. Yao Qi's eyes brightened. Who is he? You don't need to know, Wu Yu said. Do you want all the annotations of these characters? Yao Qi said, yes. Wu Yu said, I can find this person and give you all the annotations of these characters. But you have to promise me one thing. Yao Qi said, what is it? Wu Yu said, let my people see your teacher. I want to make sure that he's still alive. When he said that, Yao Qi's expression changed. No one knew that he had imprisoned Yongxi. No one at all knew about it. Then, how did his teacher's future wife, the goddess that he had a crush on, know? Wu Yu said calmly, because he would write me a letter every half a year. He would travel thousands of miles from Little Western Paradise to send it. But half a year has passed, and I haven't received any letters from him. As for you, I think I understand you. Yao Qi was silent for a long time. Then she said, You still love him? No, I've already fallen in love with someone else, Wu Yu said. But I still care about his life and death. Yao Qi said, all right, I promise you. But I have to tell you that your people can only see him. I will accompany him. And after seeing him, she can never enter Little Western Paradise. Also, I will transfer him to another dungeon. Wu Yu said, deal. The next day, Yao Qi brought the Nether Ocean emissary, Hua Li, to the dungeon. After seeing Yongxi, they left immediately. From the beginning to the end, she was only awake when she saw Yongxi. She was completely unconscious for the rest of the time. So, she didn't know where Yongxi's prison was. Then, Yao Qi brought Hua Li back to the Skull Palace. The Nether Ocean emissary, Hua Li, nodded at Wu Yu. Then Wu Yu handed a thin book to Yao Qi. Yao Qi flipped it open, and it was filled with the comparison of the chaos language and Chinese characters. Then, I'll take my leave, Yao Qi said. After returning to Little Western Paradise, Yao Qi didn't transfer Yongxi away. But in the Shadow Spear tribe thousands of miles away, Yongxi's substitute appeared and gave a passionate speech to the Shadow Spear tribe nobles. The order to kidnap Yang Dingtian's family was cancelled. The 2 demonic fox tribe elites returned to Little Western Paradise from Cloud Sky City. Then, Yao Qi translated Yang Dingtian's speech according to the Chinese characters in the book. The void fire will bloom in 79 days, 16 hours and 30 minutes. The entrance to the void border is at the bottom of the Silver Moon tribe's endless peak. You need the energy of the dark crystal in your body to enter the void border through this entrance. Once you enter, you'll see that the world inside is lit up. Other than the dark land, the rest of the light and shadows are all void crack flames. All you have to do is jump down, and you'll be able to obtain the void crack flames. This is because the void crack flame's attribute is spatial travel. Success! Success! Yao Qi's body trembled slightly. The void fire was going to belong to him soon. The treasures of the Naga Empire were going to belong to him soon. Of course, he would still try his best to prove the authenticity of the book. In reality, it wasn't difficult to prove it. Any language had a strict logic. As long as he understood the logic of the mysterious language, any wise person would be able to determine the authenticity of the words. Once he proved the authenticity of the book, he had to do two things. First, he had to get the dark crystal. 2 of them. Second, he had to find a reason to destroy the Silver Moon tribe. 2 birds with 1 stone. Chapter 753. Yao Qi secretly summoned Dongli again. This time, it was just Dongli alone. Your Excellency Dongli, do you still think that Mr. Jiang Shang is Yang Dingtian? Yao Qi asked with a smile. Dongli said calmly, I've already lost 2 of my eyes. What else do you want? Yao Qi said, If I'm not wrong, you must have gone to my opponent's camp and tried to work with them, right? For example, the Righteous Alliance led by the Silver Moon clan? Dongli did not admit nor deny it. He smiled and said, Your Excellency, you didn't ask me to come here for that, right? Yao Qi said, Of course not. I'm just asking you. Do you still think that Mr. Jiang Shang is Yang Dingtian? Dongli was silent for a long time. Then he said, My instincts tell me that he is, but my rationality tells me that he isn't. No, I don't want that answer, Yao Qi said. I need you to tell me directly. Is Jiang Shang Yang Dingtian? Is he or isn't he? Dongli fell into deep thought. Then he shook his head and said, He isn't. Ha 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 ha. Yao Qi laughed and said, Your Excellency Dongli, you should stick to your instincts. Most of the time, instincts are more accurate than rationality. Rationality is built on appearances, but instincts are based on the basics. Dongli was shocked. His expression of disbelief froze on his face for a long time. In reality, before Dongli's eyes were dug out, he did not have much expression. He only smiled mysteriously. It was as if he was smiling all the time. That was because he could express most of his emotions through his eyes. He thought that his eyes were the most beautiful part of him. Now they had been dug out. How is that possible? He's from the Speechless clan. He has the thick silver dragon bloodline in him, Dongli said slowly. Yao Qi smiled and said, But in reality he's Yang Dingtian. Dongli asked, When did you find out? A long time ago, Yao Qi said. I knew about it even before I met him, and he even came to Little Western Paradise. At that time, I was also shocked because the silver dragon blood crystal couldn't enter the human body, nor could it be absorbed by the human body. Even if the human body absorbed it, it would tear the human body into pieces. However, Sir Yang Dingtian doesn't seem to be an ordinary person. Dongli fell into silence again. Yao Qi said, You must be angry in your heart. Since I know that he is Yang Dingtian, why did I let Yang Dingtian distort the truth in the hall that day, causing you to lose your eyes? Dongli sneered. You want to make use of Yang Dingtian, so you won't expose him too early. This is normal. Yao Qi said, That's right, I want to use him. So, after he consumed the dark crystal that day, even if he didn't transform into the silver dragon, I would think of a way to create the illusion that his body was shrinking and his energy was being consumed. I can't let him expose himself. Dongli said, If that's the case, why did you summon me? Yao Qi said, It's just a deal. Dongli said, What deal? Yao Qi said, I want 2 dark crystals. If you don't trade with me, I'll go to the Naga tribe directly. I believe they'll be willing to give it to you. Dongli said, What do I get? Yao Qi said, I won't let Yang Dingtian leave Little Western Paradise alive. Of course, I won't kill him either. I'll just destroy his brain, cultivation, and so on. He'll only be left as a stallion for me to mass-produce demigod descendants. Dongli sneered. You were going to destroy Yang Dingtian anyway. It's as if I didn't get anything. Yao Qi said, You'll get the entire Naga tribe. Because Yang Dingtian can't go back alive, no one will fight with you for the mating rights of the Naga tribe, right? Dongli was silent for a moment. Then he nodded and said, That's right. Is this deal reasonable? Yao Qi extended her hand. Dongli took out 2 energy jade boxes and passed them to Yao Qi. He opened them. There were 2 dark crystals inside. One was bigger than the other. They were definitely dark crystals. No one could fake them, and no one could mix anything into them. If he could do that, he would be a god. Happy working with you, Dongli said. Then I'll take my leave. Yao Qi smiled. No rush. We still have room for cooperation. Dongli said. In Little Western Paradise, you've already rejected our alliance. So, we can't change our stance anymore. Yao Qi said. You don't have to change your stance. I'm sure you're interested in the new cooperation that I've proposed. Dongli said. Oh, what kind of cooperation? Yao Qi said. In 3 days, I'll host a huge banquet in the Silver Palace. I'll invite all the high-ranking demonic fox nobles in Little Western Paradise. And this banquet is being held for young Dingtian. I want him to take up the position of a supreme virtuous teacher. By then, he'll be worshipped by all the demonic fox nobles. Then I'll give you a chance. I'll let you enter the banquet and destroy young Dingtian. Of course, you must keep him alive, especially his penis. The rest of his intelligence and cultivation can all be destroyed. Although Dongli no longer had eyes, Yao Qi could still feel the bright light shooting out of his eyes. Without a doubt, this was what he had been dreaming of. If Wu Yuming didn't have any personal grudges against Yang Dingtian, then Dongli had a personal grudge against Yang Dingtian. When Yang Dingtian hugged the Sea Heart Queen and casually played with her celestial body, Dongli couldn't wait to tear him into pieces. The biggest grudge in the world was the hatred of stealing one's wife. Dongli had already treated Queen Hai Xian as his exclusive property. He didn't expect Yang Dingtian to use both his hands and mouth. Other than not actually entering her, he had already done all the intimate things between a man and a woman. Dongli couldn't take it anymore. Not to mention, Yang Dingtian had personally dug out his eyes. I agree, Dongli said. I'll give Yang Dingtian an unforgettable night. Yao Qi said. Remember, you can only destroy his brain and cultivation. You can't destroy his body. Otherwise, no matter where you go in the world, I'll tear you into pieces. You know I can do that. As you wish, Dongli said. Yao Qi said. Then, I'll ask you one last question. How much do you know about the space-splitting fire? Dongli said. We know that the space-splitting fire is in the hands of the demonic fox tribe. Yao Qi smiled and waved her hand. Dongli left. In the past few days, Yang Dingtian had spent the most leisurely days in the Silver Palace. In the entire Silver Palace, he had become the most respected person. Jia seemed to have become his disciple again. She served him like an emperor. As long as he wanted to, he could have her perfect body at any time. However, Yang Dingtian liked a living woman, not a blow-up doll. Even if the blow-up doll was prettier and more real than any woman. In the past few days, he had visited Yao Rao and Yang Yi twice. Then, he spent most of his time in the Silver Palace's library. In the human countries, there was almost no such thing as a library. The chaos times had become the rare spiritual food in the human countries. Because in the human countries, martial arts was still the most mainstream culture. Other cultures were suppressed to the point that there was no room for survival. Little Western Paradise was different. It had a large number of writers and artists. Therefore, the library had a rich collection of books. The huge library was a sea of books. It was even bigger, and had more books than any library Yang Dingtian had seen on Earth. In fact, this library was also a top secret in Little Western Paradise. The books here were only for the chairman to read. Most of these books were about Little Western Paradise. Some of them were about the Naga Empire. Some of them were about the ancient civilization. The human country's exploration of the ancient civilization was very utilitarian. It was secret manuals and treasures. Little Western Paradise paid more attention to the ancient civilization and culture. Therefore, they left behind a vast number of books. There was also knowledge about the races of this world, geography, and so on. Unfortunately, Yang Dingtian still couldn't fully grasp the language of the demon fox race. Therefore, it was very difficult for him to read these books. Therefore, in the end, he went to the books section of the human countries. There were tens of thousands of books about the human countries. Yang Dingtian didn't know that the demon fox race had done such detailed exploration and research on the human countries. Moreover, some of the books were written in the human language of chaos. Or rather, it was the common language of chaos. In fact, this common language of chaos came from the ancient times. Many races used this language. Yang Dingtian came to the biographies of people. Most of them were people from thousands of years ago. Yang Dingtian saw many familiar names here. For example, the founder of Yinyang School, the founder of Cloud Sky City, Yang Yunxiao. There were about 4 biographies of the founder of Yinyang School. Yang Yunxiao had 2 biographies. Next, Yang Dingtian saw a whole row of books. They were all about the same person, the Demon King Wentian. There were 9 biographies about him. And there was only 1 book of Piao Ling of the Void. Then there were 2 books of Shimen Wuya, 1 book of Zhu Qingzhu, and 2 books of Dongfang Minmi. The most surprising thing was that Yang Dingtian had 10 biographies. That's right, 10 biographies about Yang Dingtian. He was shocked. He had the most biographies in the past few hundred years. Therefore, he quickly took down the first book of Yang Dingtian's biographies with mixed feelings. He skimmed through it. The description of him was very detailed and even true. Almost every major event that he had experienced was recorded. Yang Dingtian flipped through the first book as fast as he could. There were hundreds of thousands of words in it, and the content had already reached Yang Dingtian's victory over Wu Yuming in a duel. It was just the first book, but it had almost finished everything that Yang Dingtian had experienced. What would the next 9 books be about? Therefore, Yang Dingtian flipped to the second book. The second book only had a dozen pages. It was about Yang Dingtian's trip to the Snakeman Empire. Then, Yao Li went to Cloud Sky City to snatch Yao Rao and Yang Yi. The content after that was completely blank. So that's how it was. The Fox clan thought that Yang Dingtian would become a big figure in the future, so they left him with 10 books. It was one more than the Demon King Wentian. But in reality, he might not be able to finish it. But Yang Dingtian still felt his scalp tingle. The Fox clan was paying close attention to him. However, some of the content in the book was very interesting. For example, there were some paragraphs that were often labeled as Chaos Times, 7th issue, and so on. It seemed that the Chaos Times was indeed very authoritative. The Fox clan's books were also starting to use the content in it. Then, Yang Dingtian found a thick stack of Chaos Times in a conspicuous position. The latest issue was actually from 3 days ago. There was not a single issue missing. The Fox clan was indeed very scary. There was almost nothing they did not know about humans. Then there was a problem. Yao Rao giving birth was of course a top secret in the Chaos world. Only a few people in the Council of Light knew about it. Among his enemies, only the higher-ups of the evil ways knew about it. Then, when did Yao Qi find out? Could it be that he only found out after Dongli came to inform him? Not necessarily. If not, why did Yao Qi not come to snatch Yao Rao and her son? Could it be that he had not succeeded in becoming the chairman, so he did not make a move? But later on, Yao Li found out about Yao Rao giving birth. After he came back from the Dark Realm, he immediately ran to Cloud Sky City to take Yao Rao away. So Yao Qi had no choice but to personally appear and kill Yao Li, taking Yao Rao and her son back to Silver City. If Yao Li hadn't gone to Cloud Heaven City, Yao Qi might not have made a move. He might have waited until he had complete control of the Little Western Paradise and obtained the spatial rending flame before snatching Yao Rao and her son away. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian shuddered at Yao Qi. This person's scheming mind was completely profound to the extreme. Yang Dingtian brought the books on the Demon King Wentian, as well as the biographies of Yang Dingtian, Shimen Wuya, and the others back to his palace to read carefully. Although this top-secret library was only open to the chairman, Yang Dingtian enjoyed almost the same treatment as the chairman in the Silver Palace. So in these few days, he spent most of his time reading the Demon King Wentian's biographies. It was also the first time he had a direct understanding of this person. In the past, the Demon King Wentian seemed to have popped out of a rock. Different from Yang Dingtian, Yang Dingtian's rise was from zero. As for the rise of the Devil King Wentian, There was quite a bit of contact right from the start. It was just that he was originally a nameless person. But all of a sudden, his name was as resplendent as the stars in the sky. Yang Dingtian read very carefully. Most of the content was the author's speculation. Because in the later part of the book, the demon king Wentian became very mysterious. Even the demon fox tribe could not get any information about him. On this day, Yang Dingtian was still reading in the palace. Suddenly Jia came in and said, "You are about to attend the banquet. This is the biggest banquet in history, and it is also held for you alone. All the high-ranking demon fox tribe nobles will come to witness you become a great sage." Yang Dingtian was stunned. Jia said, "So please change your clothes." At this time, Princess Mu Dan, dressed up beautifully, entered the Silver Palace with the Silver Moon Tribe's Princess Yao Ling. Chapter 754. After Jia helped Yang Dingtian put on the mysterious and gorgeous robe, the two of them held hands and walked toward the main hall of the Silver Palace. At this moment, a beautiful Fox Clan female official came over and said, "Miss Jia, the chairman invites you over." Jia was slightly startled. Then she gave Yang Dingtian an apologetic smile, then turned around and left. The beautiful Fox Clan female official bowed toward Yang Dingtian, then turned around and left. However, the moment she turned around, a few words suddenly flashed on her beautiful dress. "Be careful of the Silvermoon clan's assassination." These words flashed for a moment, then completely disappeared. When Yang Dingtian wanted to take a closer look, the female official had already walked out. However, Yang Dingtian was very sure that this was not an illusion. Yao Qi seemed to be always working. At this moment, the large-scale banquet was about to begin, but he was still bent over the table and writing. "Sir Chairman, may I know why you are looking for me?" Jia asked. Yao Qi said, "Your sister Yara must attend tonight's banquet. I went to invite her, but she refused. I am at my wit's end, so you go and persuade her." Jia was startled, then she nodded and said, "Yes." Then Jia came to Yara's palace again. Looking at the beautiful red leaves in the palace, Jia's beautiful eyes flashed with a complicated light. At this moment, a dozen maids stood outside the palace, holding a luxurious silver dragon dress. The meaning of this dress was very obvious. It was something that only the chairman's wife could wear. Suddenly, Jia's gaze became even more complicated. After entering the Red Leaves Palace, Yara was wearing a comfortable and lazy nightgown, holding baby Yang-yi in her arms and still drawing. This time, she was drawing Mistress and baby Yang-li. "Sister, you are the most important person in tonight's banquet," Jia said. Yara ignored her, as if she did not see her twin sister at all. Jia said again, "Sister, please change your clothes and go to the main hall." Yara still ignored her. The smile on Jia's face disappeared completely, and she said faintly, "Sister, please change your clothes and go to the main hall to attend the banquet. Otherwise, the two people in your drawing will die." Instantly, her enchanting body trembled. Jia said, "Sister, you should trust me. I've been a woman of my word since I was young. One of them is Yang Dingtian's mistress, and the other is Yang Dingtian's eldest son. If I say I want these two to die, they will definitely die." Her enchanting and beautiful face instantly turned pale. After a long time she said, "Okay, I'll go." Jia put on an elegant smile and said, "Sister, I hope you won't do this again in the future. Forcing me to say such things will hurt the harmony between us sisters." After saying that, Jia turned around and walked out. She said to the maid outside, "Help the enchanting madam change her clothes." "She agreed?" Yao Qi asked. "Agreed," Jia replied. "Yes, well done," said Yao Qi, but he did not ask how Jia made Yara agree. Jia stood quietly on the side, waiting for Yao Qi's next order. Yao Qi continued working as she said, "In a while follow Jiangshang. After I confer him the title of Great Sage, he will need to give a public speech. At that time, everyone will retreat far away. Only you, as his assistant and disciple, will stand beside him and do translation and other work." Jia said, "Yes." Yao Qi said, "When he finishes his first sentence, someone will try to assassinate him. Jiang Shang's cultivation is not high, but the assassin's cultivation will not be much higher than his, because a half-saint will not become an assassin. So to ensure success, you must completely lock down Jiang Shang's Xianqi. You can do it, but you must make sure the assassin successfully assassinates Jiang Shang. Yes, Jia said. I will make sure Jiang Shang dies tonight. No, not die, Jia said. He will only become a cripple, but he cannot die. Jia's beautiful face twitched as she said, yes. But as his assistant, shouldn't I act like I'm risking my life to save him? Yes, Yao Qi said. There will be 2 assassins, so you must rush up and block the sword. One of the assassins will pierce through your body, but you will be fine. The other assassin will pierce through Jiang Shang's sea of qi. You purposely act like you are blocking the sword and completely lock down Yang Dingtian, not allowing him to move. At that time the play will be perfect. Yes, Jia said. Go, Yao Qi said. The Silver Palace's main hall was dazzling and brightly lit. On the plaza outside, hundreds of thousands of Fox tribe soldiers were on high alert. Tonight, there would be an unprecedented banquet here. Almost all the Fox tribe high nobles were waiting to see the elegant Jiang Shang from the Silent Tribe. The tribe alliance was able to invite Mr. Jiang Shang from the Silent Tribe as the second great sage in history. It was a grand occasion for the entire Little Western Paradise. So for the past half a month, thousands of high nobles from the entire Little Western Paradise came to Silver City, preparing to participate in this grand occasion. Any guest who entered the Silver Palace had to go through the most complicated energy checks. They were not allowed to bring any weapons in to ensure the safety of the banquet. After more than 2 hours, all the guests entered the main hall. Hundreds of thousands of Fox tribe soldiers guarded every corner of the hall. The entire Silver City was under martial law in the main hall, that was tens of thousands of square meters. Thousands of high nobles were wearing the most luxurious clothes and chatting with each other in the most elegant and natural manner. And the main character of their conversation was, without exception, Jiang Shang from the Silent Tribe. All the high nobles did not hesitate to use the nicest language to praise this noble Mr. Jiang Shang from the Silent Tribe. Everyone was looking forward to Mr. Jiang Shang's appearance. But the first to appear was Chairman Yao Qi, and an unfamiliar but beautiful lady. This lady was wearing a lazy nightgown and was carrying a child in her arms. Although Yao Rao was the eldest daughter of the Shadow Spear tribe leader, she had not appeared in the Fox tribe for a long time. But very quickly, someone recognized this face and thought it was Jia. But Jia did not have a child. Today was undoubtedly the grandest occasion. Everyone was dressed to the nines. Why was this beautiful lady dressed so lazily and casually? However, even though she was wearing a lazy nightgown, her beauty overshadowed her beauty. And what attracted everyone's attention was the baby in her arms. All the high nobles were instantly attracted by the baby's face. Not only was it beautiful, but it also had an indescribable aura, a mysterious and moving aura. Who was this lady? Then many people seemed to remember. She was the eldest daughter of the Shadow Spear tribe, Yao Rao. But didn't she go to the humans to borrow a seed and disappeared for many years? This plan lasted for a few hundred years and ended in failure. This caused all the Fox nobles to lose hope in this plan. It was not easy for the high nobles of the Fox tribe to go to the human countries. It was a huge blow to their cultivation and mental state. After all, the energy in Little Western Paradise was completely different from the human countries. However, she was carrying a child in her arms. Did this mean anything? All the high nobles of the Fox tribe were shocked. They thought of an unbelievable possibility. Yao Qi stood at the top of the stairs and looked down at the Fox nobles. Today's banquet was prepared for our noble and elegant Mr. Jiang Shang from the Speechless tribe. But before Mr. Jiang Shang comes out, I have to announce something. Then, Yao Qi looked at Yao Rao and her daughter. This beautiful lady, many of you might have forgotten. She is the eldest daughter of the Shadow Spear tribe's leader, Miss Yao Rao. That's right. Her plan to become a demigod has succeeded. She has successfully given birth to a demigod descendant. Instantly, the entire hall fell into a deathly silence. This was impossible? Everyone trembled from the depths of their souls. The demigod tribe was once everyone's dream and goal. They had worked hard for a few hundred years for this. But without exception, all of them failed. So much so that they had completely given up hope. They did not expect Yao Qi to say that they had succeeded. Hence, all the high nobles present were shocked. It wasn't a huge surprise, but it was still extremely shocking. Yao Qi continued. Also, I want to say that this is not a coincidence. We are looking for a way. Mr. Jiang Shang from the Speechless Tribe and I are looking for a mysterious way. In the next 100 years, or even shorter, we will have more demigod descendants. All the families here, as long as you are noble enough, have the hope of giving birth to a demigod descendant. Of course, Yao Qi had an ulterior motive for saying this. He made it very clear that he had monopolized the so-called method of giving birth to a demigod descendant. If they wanted their families to give birth to a demigod descendant, they had to be loyal to Yao Qi. Yao Qi pointed at Yao Rao and said, "When all the fox demons gave up, only Miss Yao Rao did not. Her name is destined to be engraved in the history of Little Western Paradise. She is the greatest woman in our Little Western Paradise. Hence, I suggest that we make Miss Yao Rao the only saintess of our Little Western Paradise." Then an elderly scholar came forward. He held a small silver dragon crown in his hands and gave it to Yao Qi. Then, Yao Qi put the silver dragon crown on Yao Rao's head in front of everyone's eyes. Suddenly, Yao Rao became the only saintess of Little Western Paradise. All the nobles in the hall clapped in unison. Their gazes were complicated. Yao Rao put on the crown and smiled. "Then can I go back now? I haven't finished my painting yet." Yao Qi smiled. "Of course, I will send you back." Then, Yao Qi sent Yao Rao and her daughter out of the hall. Yao Qi returned to the hall and looked at the shocked and complicated crowd. She said slowly, "The Silver Dragon Bloodline Warriors' reign is about to begin again. So, all the noble Silver Dragon Bloodline Warriors, are you ready?" The entire hall was silent. The nobles of the Fox Demons had been drunk for a long time. The conquest of the Fox Demons had once made their blood boil. However, they had been cold-blooded for too long. Although the successful birth of the demigod's descendant seemed to have ignited their blood, it was more complicated than anything else. "I know that the birth of the demigod's descendant will bring shock and confusion to our Little Western Paradise," Yao Qi said. "Therefore, at this moment, Mr. Jiang Shang of the Speechless Clan has descended. He will guide us in the future." Now, everyone's spirits were lifted. The main character tonight was Jiang Shang of the Speechless Clan. Although his appearance was not as shocking as the birth of the demigod's descendant, at least he made people feel relaxed. There was no pressure. They only had to worship him. Yao Qi said, "Mr. Jiang Shang is not just an ordinary Speechless Clan member. He is practically the embodiment of the Silver Dragon's intelligence." Then, Yao Qi picked up a huge recording jade and inserted her celestial qi into it. Suddenly, a huge light shadow appeared in the sky above the hall. In the image, Jiang Shang of the Speechless Clan was transforming. He grew terrifying fangs. His gaze was deep. His face was elongated. Sharp silver fins grew out of his neck. Roar! Finally, Mr. Jiang Shang's upper body completely transformed into the fallen silver dragon. Shock, complete shock, incomparable shock. Compared to the birth of the demigod's descendant, this was even more shocking. All the nobles of the demonic Fox clan were completely stunned. They felt a chill run down their spines. Yao Qi really did not want the nobles to see this. Because this way, the nobles of the demonic Fox clan would worship young Ding Tian, who had transformed into the silver dragon. Because the fallen silver dragon totem was already deeply ingrained in everyone's soul. Not everyone was like him and Jia. Thinking from the perspective of the demonic Fox clan, they would kill anyone who stood in their way. If countless aristocrats were to worship young Ding Tian like this, it would be very easy for him to become too powerful and dangerous. But Yao Qi also saw the situation just now. He was heartbroken. Yao Rao's success in planting the seed, and the demonic Fox clan successfully giving birth to a demigod's descendant should have been very excited. The entire hall should be boiling with excitement. But he did not expect all the nobles of the demonic Fox clan to react so indifferently. This made Yao Qi's heart ache. In order to ignite everyone's passion, he had no choice but to publicize this scene. As expected, after this scene was publicized, all the nobles of the demonic fox clan felt their blood boil. Their eyes lit up. They were completely excited and boiling with excitement, because all the nobles were descendants of the fallen silver dragon. The fallen silver dragon was the totem of the entire Little Western Paradise. Looking at the passionate nobles, Yao Qi slowly said, "Noble descendants of the silver dragon, isn't this a revelation from the heavens? This is a revelation from the silver dragon. It allowed its wisdom to transform into Mr. Jiang Shang, to guide us on our future path. Welcome, Mr. Jiang Shang, the wisdom incarnation." Instantly, sacred music was played. Everyone bowed slightly, as if they were on a pilgrimage, waiting for the arrival of Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan. Then, under everyone's gaze, Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan slowly walked into the hall. Instantly, the temperature of the entire hall seemed to increase rapidly. All the high nobles were looking at him with burning gazes. They had always worshipped the Speechless clan. Now, Mr. Jiang Shang could transform into a silver dragon? Hence, the passion in their hearts was unparalleled. Yang Dingtian, in the image of the Speechless clan, and wearing a mysterious silver robe, felt like a superstar. That's right, a superstar. How ironic. Arriving at the center of the hall, Yang Dingtian bowed slightly as a form of respect. All the high nobles from the demonic fox clan bowed. If this was outside, of course, countless people would be cheering. But now it was extremely solemn. Yao Qi held a scepter and bowed 90 degrees towards Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan. She said respectfully, "Mr. Jiang Shang, please guide us on our future path, and accept the position of the great sage of the Western Paradise world." Instantly, all the high nobles from the demonic fox clan said in unison, "Mr. Jiang Shang, please accept our respect." Yang Dingtian slowly received the silver dragon scepter, and instantly became the second great sage in the history of the Little Western Paradise world. Then he raised it slightly. Yao Qi slowly said, "Today is a new era for the Western Paradise world. It means that we have completely entered the era of the world's hegemony." Then Yao Qi bowed and said, "Mr. Jiang Shang, please bestow upon us your noble teachings." Then, Yao Qi slowly stepped back. Instantly, on the high steps, within tens of thousands of square meters, there was only Yang Dingtian alone. Oh, there was also the extremely beautiful Jia, as his assistant and translator. Everyone was eagerly waiting for Yang Dingtian's speech. When he finished his first sentence, it would be the time of assassination, the time of destruction. Chapter 755. Yang Dingtian looked at the countless eyes below, countless handsome men and beautiful women. The high nobles of the fox demonic tribe seemed to have an endless lifespan. Therefore, other than the first and second generation high nobles of the fox demonic tribe, or the fox demonic tribe that focused on academics and despised martial arts, the rest of the high nobles almost never looked middle-aged or older. This world was really full of strange things. Yang Dingtian had seen countless handsome men and beautiful women in the snow race. Here, he also saw countless handsome men and beautiful women. Then, he saw a pair of familiar yet unfamiliar eyes. Those were the eyes of Princess Mudan. Beside her, there was an extremely provocative demon fox beauty. She looked at Yang Dingtian with undisguised hostility. Suddenly, a hostile gaze appeared among a bunch of admiring gazes. Naturally, it was very eye-catching. She should be the demonic spirit of Silver Moon City, Yao Li's younger sister. Although they didn't look alike, their stubborn gazes were very similar. Is she the one who wants to assassinate me? But isn't she too close to the dimension? All the demonic fox nobles were waiting for Yang Dingtian to give his speech. Beside him, the perfect Jia was looking at him with incomparable gentleness and admiration. At this moment, Yang Dingtian seemed to have taken all the limelight and attention. However, if he really had such a feeling, then he was definitely an idiot. Finally, Yang Dingtian spoke. Jia's beautiful lips curled up slightly. The time for the assassination was coming. The time for the destruction of the speechless race was coming. Standing here, I suddenly thought of Mr. Yongxi, the greatest chairman in the history of the demonic fox race. He's my senior, the previous great sage. He also gave a speech here before. I really miss him. Because I didn't prepare a speech, I want to borrow his copy. As soon as Yang Dingtian finished speaking, the main hall immediately echoed with thunderous applause. Mr. Jiang Shang of the speechless race's humor really made people feel very comfortable. That's right, it was comfortable. They liked this kind of comfort and leisure. They didn't like to be so serious about fighting and killing. Yang Dingtian finished his first sentence. The enchanting golden hair behind Jia's ears stood up slightly. As for the future of the Fox Demon clan, Yang Dingtian continued. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, about 10 meters away from Yang Dingtian, among the first row of demon fox nobles, two figures suddenly changed. His entire body instantly turned into a black shadow. His entire arm suddenly turned into a sharp black sword. Like a bolt of lightning, it suddenly pierced towards Yang Dingtian, who was at the top of the hall. The assassination attempt had begun. In an instant, the entire hall was completely shocked. They didn't even know what had happened. There were many experts present, but it had been 100 years or even 200 years since they last fought. Their cultivation bases were very high, but their reactions were extremely slow. By the time they reacted, countless demon fox experts swarmed out. In the name of protecting Yang Dingtian, they instantly blocked the stairs, blocking the passage between the demon fox nobles and Yang Dingtian. The other dozens of demon fox experts quickly rushed towards Yang Dingtian. These two assassins were extremely fast. The distance of more than 10 meters was covered in less than half a second. Because they were crazily burning their sea of qi, transforming it into a sword, using their own life and cultivation to assassinate. Yang Dingtian suddenly activated the invisibility profound skill, and was about to disappear into the air. Then, he immediately flashed away. That's right, he was already wearing the demonic spirit mist cloak. Because he didn't need to take off his clothes anymore. With the invisibility profound skill, and the demonic spirit mist cloak, no one could successfully assassinate him. But, the moment the assassins appeared, Jia, who was beside him, rushed over like lightning and screamed, "Protect the great sage!" Then, she tightly hugged Yang Dingtian's body. Using her own strength and profound qi, she locked Yang Dingtian's body. He was completely unable to move. Moreover, all the veins in his body were locked by her in the most violent way. He couldn't release any profound qi. Yang Dingtian's entire body was fixed. He couldn't move at all. Puchi! One of the assassins suddenly stabbed Jia's back. Then through Jia's body, it suddenly stabbed into Yang Dingtian's body. The other assassin's dark sword suddenly stabbed into Yang Dingtian's sea of qi. No. In an instant, a gorgeous ray of light crazily arrived. It was Princess Mudan. Her eyes were burning with a completely crazy light. In an instant, like a flame, it filled the eyes. All the demon fox nobles, and the demon fox experts blocking the stairs were instantly sent flying by her aura. The distance of 1,000 meters was covered in an instant. She didn't have the demon spirit mist cloak. After arriving in front of Yang Dingtian, she suddenly slammed her palm toward Yang Dingtian. Oh no, it was toward the assassin in front of Yang Dingtian. At this moment, half of the assassin's body had already turned into a sharp energy sword. It suddenly stabbed into Yang Dingtian's sea of qi. Long live the alliance of justice and order! The assassin suddenly roared. Then, Mudan's jade-like palm slammed into his back. In an instant, this demon fox nobleman suddenly turned into ashes. His body was smashed into pieces. Long live the alliance of justice and order! Then another assassin was also violently smashed into powder. He completely disappeared in the air. At the same time, dozens of demon fox experts instantly surrounded Yang Dingtian, Jia, and Mudan. No, don't. Princess Mudan's eyes were confused. She trembled and was speechless. She had completely locked Dongli's Xian meridians and imprisoned him. She was also following the demon spirit of the Silver Moon clan closely. Why were there still assassinations? Why were there still assassinations? At this moment, Yang Dingtian and Jia's bodies suddenly collapsed onto the ground. At this moment, Yao Qi seemed to have gone crazy. She shouted, "Destroy the alliance of justice and order! Destroy the alliance of justice and order! Go to hell!" Suddenly, there was a cry that sounded like a fiery bird in the air. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then, a fiery red shadow flashed and suddenly appeared in front of Yao Qi. Her body suddenly turned into a sharp sword and stabbed toward Yao Qi's chest. That's right. This was the demon spirit of the Silver Moon clan. She was wearing the real demon spirit mist cloak. She was here to assassinate tonight, but not Yang Dingtian. She was here to assassinate Yao Qi. But, although her cultivation was high and she had borrowed the demon spirit mist cloak, she was still too weak compared to Yao Qi. Her sword had just pierced half an inch into Yao Qi's body when her entire body froze in the air. Yao Qi grabbed her neck and turned her face to the crowd. She said coldly, "Look carefully. This is the princess of the Silver Moon clan, Miss Demon Spirit. The Silver Moon clan has lost their minds. Not only did they try to assassinate me, but they also tried to assassinate our respected Mr. Jiang Shang. Send troops immediately and destroy the Silver Moon clan." Then, Yao Qi looked in shock at the Princess Mu Dan, who had killed the two assassins. She could tell at a glance that she was a human who had come in with the demon spirit. But she didn't expect that a human like her would have such shocking cultivation. It was so shocking. The thousands of demon fox nobles were instantly pushed aside by her aura. The hundreds of demon fox elites blocking the stairs were instantly pushed aside by her. "Take her down. She's the accomplice of the assassins," Yao Qi roared. Instantly, 4 half-saint demon fox elites rushed out from the depths of the palace. It was rare to see a demon fox elder with white hair and beard. Instantly they pounced on Mu Dan. "Wait!" Yang Dingtian raised his hand and said, "This woman isn't here to kill me. She's here to save me." Yao Qi said, "Great virtuous master, don't be fooled by her illusion. She's here to kill you. She came in with the demon spirit." Then, Yao Qi wanted to take down Mu Dan in one go without giving Yang Dingtian a chance to speak. "No, she's my lover. She won't kill me," Yang Dingtian said loudly. Princess Mu Dan's eyes trembled. They could clearly see that Dongfang Bingling's soul and will were madly struggling. She was madly trying to break free from the demon spirit's suppression. Let's go, Yang Dingtian said slowly. Also, the stupid Yao Ling wanted to add fuel to the fire to assassinate Chairman Yao Qi. They were indeed a family. They were as stupid as Yao Li. Jia lay gently in Yang Dingtian's arms and said softly, "Teacher. Oh no, husband, I will take good care of you from now on. Although your cultivation is completely destroyed, and you have lost your ability to move, I will still admire you like before and take care of you in every possible way. In a few days, we will be officially married." Yang Dingtian looked at Jia, who was in his embrace. He no longer felt that she was an absolute beauty. It was as though she was an extremely vicious venomous snake that was coiling around his body and constantly spitting out its venomous tongue. Oh no, not a venomous snake. Queen Poisa was very cute. His baby Shuang was also a snake. She was also very cute. Yang Dingtian could not find any words to describe the woman in his arms who was like a snake. Then, he continued to cover up carefully. He used a dark energy to block the entrance to his sea of qi, so that no celestial qi could escape. Now Yang Dingtian understood. Because of the dormant black-green mystic fire, there was almost no energy attack that could hurt his sea of qi. Any energy attack would be devoured cleanly. A weak and useless Jiang Shang would be able to conceal himself better and achieve his goal. Chapter 756. These two assassins cultivated the dark martial Tao. Hence, their entire bodies and cultivation had turned into dark energy and pierced into Yang Dingtian's sea of qi. They wanted to destroy his entire sea of qi. When Yang Dingtian's body was completely locked by Jia, he was terrified. He felt that he would not be able to escape this time. This was because it was a problem of energy balance. Yang Dingtian was a 7-star grade 9 great grandmaster. Hence, his cultivation in his sea of qi was at that of a 7-star grade 9 great grandmaster. The two assassins were both 9-star grade 9 great grandmasters. They were at the same level as Yao Rao when she went to the human countries. Hence, the two energies added together were far beyond what Yang Dingtian's sea of qi could withstand. The only result was that his sea of qi would be destroyed completely. Then, he would be able to protect his body under the suppression of Jia's powerful energy. This was Yao Qi's meticulous assassination plan. It was foolproof. However, the two powerful energies did not cause any damage after entering the sea of qi. The tentacles of the black-green mystic flame quickly extended from the abyss of the sea of qi and disintegrated the powerful energies quickly. That's right. Disintegrate. If one were to describe it vividly, it would be tearing and disintegrating the energies that were about to explode. In fact, these energies were not its cup of tea. They were not good for its growth, and might even be harmful. However, in order to save its master, the black-green mystic flame had no choice but to swallow these useless energies with tears in its eyes. Furthermore, it wisely blocked Yang Dingtian's sea of qi with its tentacles that were stained with dark energy, creating the illusion that his sea of qi was completely destroyed. Hence, Yang Dingtian felt very strange all of a sudden. The black-green mystic flame had really turned from a mystic flame into a life form. Furthermore, he felt that it was completely connected to his mind. Hence, this assassination did not harm Yang Dingtian at all. Why didn't you kill me? Yang Dingtian suddenly asked Jia. Jia said, I don't know. I only obey the orders of the speaker. In the following period of time, Yang Dingtian endured a beautiful poisonous snake by his side and allowed her to serve him meticulously. However, all day long, he was flipping through all kinds of books. The most important part was the legend of the Demon King Wentian. Jia's service was as meticulous as ever. She was like a robot, able to do whatever she was told to do. Yao Qi had been there a few times, but she didn't interact with Yang Dingtian. This was because there was no need for formalities between the two of them. After Jia had completely locked down Yang Dingtian's body and allowed the assassin to assassinate him, the two sides had completely fallen out with each other. Hence, there was no need for idealism. However, Yang Dingtian always had a question in his heart. Why didn't Yao Qi kill him? Letting him die in the hands of the assassins from the Righteous Alliance should be the most advantageous situation for her. The value of his identity as a member of the Speechless clan had long been dug out by him. Then, what value did he have to Yao Qi? Why did he choose to cripple his sea of qi instead of killing him? During this period of time, Yao Qi was very busy, because the huge power machine that he was in charge of had started to operate. He used all the public opinion to attack the Silver Moon clan. The case of the Silver Moon clan assassinating the great sage Jiang Shang and chairman Yao Qi had been completely concluded. Now, every newspaper in Little Western Paradise, especially in Indu, was crazily attacking the Silver Moon clan every day. Yao Qi also met with the leaders of the various clans and the high nobles on a large scale. She tried to organize a meeting of the 9 clans. When Yao Qi was elected as the chairman, her support rate was very low. She barely passed 50%. Now, using the assassination case, Yao Qi's support rate was increasing. As the assassination of Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan spread, the Silver Moon clan's situation became even more dangerous. Originally, the Righteous Alliance that opposed Yao Qi consisted of 4 large clans and dozens of small and medium-sized clans. Now they were all fleeing in different directions. The Righteous Alliance was only left with the Silver Moon clan and their loyal ally, the Oceanic clan. Little Western Paradise's democracy wasn't a one-person, one-vote system. Only the members of the Righteous Alliance Parliament had the right to vote. There were a total of 1158 members in the tribal parliament. Each of the 9 large clans had 100 members. They were evenly distributed. The remaining 158 members were born from the nobles in Indu. The leaders of the 9 large clans formed the Elder Council. They formed the highest authority in the tribal parliament. Moreover, the 9 great elders were hereditary. Of course, if one of the clans was wiped out, there would be other clans to replace it. Hence, to be elected as the chairman, more than 5 clan leaders had to agree. Because once the leader agreed, no matter how unwilling the other members of the clan were, They wouldn't dare to go against him. That was how Yao Qi officially became the chairman. Firstly, her marriage with the Shadow Spear clan had attracted the Shadow Spear clan, and her absolute ally, the Tianyi clan. It also affected the Buddha clan, which was sandwiched between the two clans. Yao Qi's teacher, Yongxi, was the so-called greatest chairman in history. He had a huge influence on the members of the Hindu parliament. Furthermore, he had the support of the two clans that were close to him. Hence, Yao Qi became the chairman. All in all, Yao Qi's experience wasn't enough. She almost relied on the support of her teacher, Yongxi, and the Shadow Spear clan's monster wrath too to become the chairman. Even so, she only received 600 votes in the tribal parliament. Now because she obtained the precious political resource, Jiangshang, from the Speechless clan, Yao Qi's reputation skyrocketed. Next, she would use the Silver Moon clan as her stepping stone to get rid of the shadow of her teacher, Yongxi, and the Shadow Spear clan. Therefore, the Silver Moon clan had to be exterminated whether they wanted to or not. After she exterminated the Silver Moon clan and obtained the treasures of the Naga Empire, it would be the time for him to unleash his killer weapon of nurturing demigod descendants. By then he would be able to fully grasp Yang Dingtian, this human-shaped stallion resource. He would be able to easily decide which race would give birth to a demigod, and which race wouldn't. By then, no matter if they were willing or not, the high nobles had to produce a demigod descendant. Otherwise, the clan was destined to decline. Yao Qi decided to approve only 30 people for the first demigod descendant. Hence, in less than 200 years, she would have full control of the entire Little Western Paradise. Then, she could dissolve the tribal parliament system and directly establish the Western Paradise Empire. And she would be the first emperor of this empire. After 20 days, Yao Qi's campaign was finally completed. The suppression and roping in the various clans was also completed. She held a tribal alliance meeting in the Silver Palace. There was only one content in the meeting, which was to confirm the Silver Moon clan's crime of rebellion and to remove the Silver Moon clan's name as one of the 9 major clans. Also, Hindu and the various clans would form an alliance to completely suppress the Silver Moon clan. The council unanimously passed the resolution. Then the entire army of Hindu started to gather. In the Little Western Paradise, Hindu was the capital. Its power had always been above the 9 major clans. Other than the armed forces controlled by the high nobles, the army directly controlled by the chairman was more than 500,000 people. This time, Yao Qi had mobilized all of his elite troops. Moreover, the nobles of Hindu also gathered close to 500,000 troops. As Yao Qi's hardcore supporters, the Shadow Spear race also mobilized 500,000 elites. The other major clans mobilized 800,000 troops. Many small and medium-sized clans also mobilized 500,000 troops. The Tribal Alliance meeting had a total of 2,800,000 troops. They formed an alliance army to suppress the Silver Moon clan. As a hardcore ally of the Silver Moon clan, the Oceanic race didn't change sides. However, they didn't participate in the war either. They chose to remain neutral in this war. Of course, Yao Qi despised his choice. It was seen as the stupidest choice. Yang Dingtian's carefree days were about to come to an end. Because as the great sage, he had to follow Yao Qi to battle. In fact, countless high nobles were worried about his safety. As for his health, almost all the newspapers paid attention to it every day. Now, everyone knew that the great sage's sea of energy had been destroyed. As for the damage to his body and brain, it was unknown if he could recover. The reason why Yao Qi wanted to bring Yang Dingtian to battle was because he didn't feel safe leaving him in the Silver Palace. To Yao Qi, Yang Dingtian was the most important thing. It directly affected whether his empire could be built in the future. It affected whether he could monopolize the birthrights of half of his descendants. Moreover, he used the great sage's body as an excuse to reject everyone's visits. There were still 10 days before the battle. Yang Dingtian had already been in bed for 25 days. During this time, other than reading books, he also read a lot of Little Western Paradise's newspapers. Now his mastery of the fox race's language had improved tremendously. He was almost able to read it. Then he saw a message. The Silver Moon Princess Yao Ling tried to murder the speaker and was sentenced to death. She would be executed in 3 days. Instantly, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but recall the beautiful and sharp girl. Her eyes were as stubborn as Yao Li's. Then, he asked Jia to tell him that he wanted that girl. So please lift her death sentence. A day later, Yao Ling appeared in front of Yang Dingtian. However, all of her celestial qi had been sealed. From this day onwards, she became the great sage Jiang Shang's servant. As a result, there was another bitter and vengeful girl by Yang Dingtian's side. While she was serving Yang Dingtian, she was trying to use her gaze to dismember Yang Dingtian into pieces. Moreover, she often said, "Stupid silent clan, you're helping the evildoer do evil. Now that you've become a piece of trash, you only have yourself to blame. You deserve it." Moreover, she often used the opportunity of wiping Yang Dingtian's body and putting on his clothes to viciously pinch Yang Dingtian's flesh with her nails to secretly take revenge. Yang Dingtian didn't care about her actions at all. Even though he was covered in bruises, he felt much more comfortable with Yao Ling than Jia. In fact, his mind was completely focused on the spatial rending flame. That was because a few days ago, the part of his memory that had been blocked had recovered. Therefore, he remembered that he and Yongxi had set up a trap to kill Yao Qi. The entrance to the space-splitting fire was at the bottom of the endless peak of the Silver Moon clan. However, the message that was sent to Yao Qi was 10 days early. At that time, although the entrance had appeared, it was closed. In the message, it said that one could enter the entrance by consuming the darkness crystal. The goal was to lure Yao Qi to consume it and kill him. In fact, the moment that memory came back, Yang Dingtian was shocked. Then he started to worry about whether Yao Qi had successfully received the fake message that was meant to kill him. That was because when he came out of the underground palace that day, Yao Qi had launched a powerful spiritual attack on him. However, he remembered that his defense was very strong. If Yao Qi hadn't received the fake message, then it would be really bad. Then his defense would be wrong. But immediately after, Yang Dingtian recalled that it was at the moment when the bet ended. The fake message about the space-splitting fire had indeed appeared in his mind. That was because Yao Qi had been asking him about it. After he won the bet, he relaxed and the message appeared in his mind. If there had been another spiritual power master other than Yao Qi, then the message might have been leaked. Therefore, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but worry about his gains and losses. However, very soon, he was sure that Yao Qi had received the fake message. That was because he had formed an alliance to attack the Silver Moon clan. If it hadn't been for the space-splitting fire, he definitely wouldn't have been in such a hurry to start a war. That was because his position wasn't very stable. There was a certain risk in starting a war. Then, Yao Qi had already taken the first step into the trap. Next, Yao Qi would take over the Silver Moon clan completely within a month. Once he saw an entrance to the space-splitting border at the bottom of the endless peaks, then the trap would be halfway to success. What Yang Dingtian had to worry about was whether Yao Qi would die after consuming the dark crystal. Moreover, Yao Qi could use the other demonic foxes as experiments. He could get 2 dark crystals. 5 days later, the Alliance's army flew towards the Silver Moon tribe from all directions. After 400 years, a large-scale war finally broke out in Little Western Paradise again. Yang Dingtian, Jia, Yao Rao, Yang Yi, and Yao Ling all followed the army. At that moment, there were still 40 days before the space-splitting fire that Yao Qi thought would bloom. There were still 50 days before the space-splitting fire would bloom. This meant that Yao Qi had to finish the war within 40 days and take over the Silver Moon clan completely. 3 days later, the Alliance army arrived at the Silver Moon clan in the north. Without waiting or exchanging pleasantries, Yao Qi announced the start of the war. Then, a war that had nothing to do with Yang Dingtian instantly broke out. A few million Alliance army attacked the defensive line formed by the Silver Moon clan's army. The difference in power between the two sides was too great. Therefore, the isolated Silver Moon clan was losing ground. 30 days later, The Alliance army completely surrounded the Silver Moon clan's imperial city. The Silver Moon clan's destruction was coming. That night, Yaoling knelt in front of Yang Dingtian naked. She cried, "Mr. Jiangshang, please save the Silver Moon clan. I am willing to be your slave and serve you for life." Chapter 757. Yang Dingtian looked at Yaoling's body. Compared to Jiya's almost perfect body, Yaoling was full of flaws. She had 3 scars on her body, one on her waist, one on her back, and one on her leg. However, this lively aura made Yang Dingtian's eyes light up. Compared to Jiya's statue-like body, this girl in front of him felt more like a living person. "Why do you think I'll help you? Why do you think I can help you?" Yang Dingtian asked. Yaoling said, "Although I'm impatient, I'm not stupid. I can see that you don't like Jiya. You don't have a good relationship with Yao Qi. Also, you saved me from the gates of hell." Yang Dingtian said, "Then why did you torture me every day?" Yang Dingtian stretched out his arms. They were all green and purple. "Because I couldn't stand it, so I took it out on you," Yaoling said. Yang Dingtian was speechless. Then he asked, "Then, do you think I can help you?" Yaoling was silent for a moment. Then, she shook her head and said, "I just don't have any other way. I'm just trying my best." Yang Dingtian resisted the urge to vomit blood. He said, What are you talking about? You don't have a way to save the Silver Moon clan, right?" Yaoling asked. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, "Now no one can save the Silver Moon clan." Yaoling said, "Then are we just going to watch the Silver Moon clan all die? You know that Yao Qi doesn't deserve to be the chairman. You know that we're righteous, and he's evil." Yang Dingtian said, "In this world there's no right or wrong. There's only pros and cons. Also, you're wrong about one thing. Yao Qi deserves to be the chairman. Perhaps from the perspective of the Fox clan's interests, he's the most suitable person in history." Yaoling stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. "Since you can't save the Silver Moon clan, then let me go. I want to die with my father." Yang Dingtian looked at her stubborn and beautiful face, and thought of Yaoli again. That morbid racist, that proud and stubborn male chauvinist. Sighing softly, Yang Dingtian said, "Demon spirit, if the Silver Moon clan wants to live, then surrender." "In your dreams," the demon spirit said sternly. "Our Silver Moon clan would rather die than surrender or compromise." Yang Dingtian immediately felt a headache coming on. Seeing how stubborn Yaoling and Yaoli were, their fathers were definitely even more unyielding. Wanting them to surrender was simply a dream. Taking a deep breath, Yang Dingtian continued, "If you don't want to surrender, then leave and go somewhere else. As far as I know, Little Western Paradise has many barren places with harsh environments. Your people should go there." "That's running away," the demon spirit said. "What kind of silent clan are you? Why are you always coming up with such useless ideas?" Yang Dingtian was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Every time he spoke to her brother, Yaoli, for less than 3 sentences, Yang Dingtian would be so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Now when he spoke to his sister, he still couldn't speak more than 3 sentences, and he would die from anger. Yang Dingtian wanted the Silver Moon clan to surrender or leave. Actually, it was feasible. If Yongxi's plan succeeded, then Yao Qi would die. As long as Yao Qi was dead, the attack on Silver Moon City would come to an end. Then, the Silver Moon clan would be able to return from the barren lands. But when encountering such a rash family, Yang Dingtian was truly at his wit's end. Just then, Jia walked in and glanced at the naked demon spirit on the floor. Her beautiful eyes flashed with disdain. "Husband, how do you feel today?" Jia asked gently. "Not bad," Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Jia went forward and reached into the blanket to check. Indeed, it was a little fierce. Yang Dingtian wasn't a saint. Although he didn't have any intentions towards the demon spirit, seeing such a lively body would still make him react. "Husband, do you need her to come up and serve you?" Jia asked with a smile. "No need," Yang Dingtian said. "All right, then I'll do it," Jia said with a smile. Then, she crawled into Yang Dingtian's blanket and started to fulfill her duty. This was almost the 5th time. Yang Dingtian didn't reject because he couldn't. Whenever Jia found that he needed something, she would take the initiative to serve him. If one could give a grade, then Jia would be the most perfect wife. Because no matter what, she did the best. In terms of taking care of him, she would bathe Yang Dingtian every day and change his clothes every day. If there were no accidents, she would cook every single meal herself. Moreover, the dishes were incomparably exquisite and changed every day. Therefore, in these 2 months, it was almost the only normal family life that Yang Dingtian enjoyed. Moreover, he was pretending to be paralyzed. He was almost certain that if he was really paralyzed for 100 years, this Jia would also serve him meticulously for 100 years. However, Yang Dingtian didn't feel any warmth at all, because this was a poisonous snake that wanted to bite him to death at all times. When the demon spirit saw that Jia and Yang Dingtian were going about their business, she still stood there and watched without moving, even though her face was flushed red. She didn't want to see anything, but she felt that retreating at this time would make her seem useless. Don't think that you can scare me away like this. Yang Dingtian saw the uselessness of time on the demon spirit. She was already 700 or 800 years old, but she was completely the same as a human girl in her teens or 20s. That was because she was a shameless person. In the long period of cultivation, time did not have much effect on her temperament and maturity. Unfortunately, although she was a martial arts fanatic, her talent was average. Although Jia was much older than her, she had to spend half of her time on other studies. She didn't spend as much time on martial arts as the demon spirit, but compared to her, the demon spirit's cultivation was like heaven and earth. Next, the war between the Alliance and the Silvermoon clan entered its final bitter struggle. All the warriors of the Silvermoon clan gathered in Silvermoon City. Although their strength was less than a fraction of the Alliance's, because they had the geographical advantage, and this was their last home, they weren't afraid of death. Time passed day by day. The casualties were increasing day by day, but Silvermoon City was still frantically resisting. Every day, there were countless Fox clan members dying. There was no hope of the Silvermoon clan collapsing. On the other hand, the Alliance's army was used to winning battles. So when the situation became anxious, their morale began to drop. Among the 9 great clans, in terms of military strength, Indu was obviously the strongest. However, in terms of martial arts and fearlessness, Silvermoon City bore the brunt. This was because out of the 9 great clans, the Silvermoon clan's geographical location was the worst. To their north was the Savage Land. This was why the Silvermoon clan was the most resistant to Yongxi's move to abolish martial arts. So they were the least affected by the ostentatious civilization. Just by looking at Yao Li and Yao Ling, one would know that this clan had always worshipped martial arts. This was why when Yongxi and Yao Nu elected Yao Qi as the chairman, the Silvermoon clan was against it. They felt that as Yongxi's disciple, Yao Qi would definitely abolish martial arts and destroy the entire Fox clan. This was why when the Silvermoon clan took up the banner of the Righteous Alliance, their slogan was to save martial arts, to save the Fox clan. Based on the plan, Yao Qi had to take down Silvermoon City within 10 days. Before this, Yao Qi was filled with confidence. That was because the Silvermoon clan had hundreds of cities, spanning thousands of miles. The Alliance took them down in just 30 days. Silvermoon City was just 100 miles away, so 10 days was more than enough. Who knew that the Silvermoon clan would gather all their elites in Silvermoon City to fight Yao Qi to the death? Now the Silvermoon clan and the Alliance's casualties were 1 to 3. Of course, Yao Qi could accept this because the Silvermoon clan's elites were getting fewer and fewer. At this rate, the Silvermoon clan would be wiped out in less than a month. But he didn't have enough time. The space-splitting fire was about to bloom. It had been 5 days since they attacked Silvermoon City. There were only 5 days left until the space-splitting fire bloomed. It seemed impossible to take down Silvermoon City within 5 days. The people in Silvermoon City seemed to have gone crazy. Every time they started fighting, they seemed to want to perish together. The space-splitting fire's entrance, Endless Peak, was right behind Silvermoon City. If they didn't take down Silvermoon City, they wouldn't be able to take down Endless Peak and obtain the space-splitting fire. Yao Qi found Yang Dingtian. I want to take down Silvermoon City within 3 days. Mister, do you have any ideas? Yao Qi asked. Yang Dingtian waved his hand and said, Of course I don't have any ideas. Yao Qi said calmly, What if I force you to think of a way? Yang Dingtian said, Then you might as well kill me. Yao Qi was silent for a moment then said, I won't kill you, but I might kill Shimin Yinyan from Cloud Sky City, or Ningro or Mu Liani etc. Instantly, Yang Dingtian's expression changed drastically. The muscles on his body were about to jump up. His heart also paused for a moment before it started to beat rapidly. He recognized that he was Yang Dingtian. After a long while, Yang Dingtian asked, When did you find out? Throughout the entire process, Yao Qi observed Yang Dingtian's reaction closely. The reason why he exposed Yang Dingtian's identity was to see his reaction. If he wasn't shocked enough, that would mean that he knew that Yao Qi had seen through him, but pretended not to know. If that was the case, it would mean that he and Yongxi had a huge conspiracy against Yao Qi. Yang Dingtian's acting skills were very average. He definitely wouldn't be able to escape Yao Qi's eyes. Yang Dingtian's reaction was extremely intense, even though he was trying his best to suppress it. However, Yao Qi could clearly sense that Yang Dingtian's muscles were about to jump up. His hair was about to stand up, and his heart was about to stop for an instant. That reaction couldn't be faked. That meant that Yang Dingtian really didn't know that Yao Qi had seen through him. Did that mean that there was no trap between him and Yongxi? Of course, Yang Dingtian didn't pretend. He didn't need to. This was because the venomous queen had only released a portion of her memories for his safety. It was only the information regarding the void fire. As for the part where Yongxi said that Yao Qi had seen through his identity, she continued to hide it. After a long while, Yang Dingtian asked again, When did you see through me? A long time ago. Before you came to Little Western Paradise, I saw through you. Yao Qi smiled and said, Because every secret of the Silver Dragon bloodline is in the hands of the chairman. You don't have any flaws. It's just that what I have is too powerful. Yang Dingtian said, Since you've seen through me and I've lost my value, why don't you kill me? No. Yao Qi said, As Jiang Shang of the Speechless Clan, you've lost your value. However, you have an even greater and more incomparable value that hasn't been discovered. Yang Dingtian obviously knew what that value was. Yao Qi smiled and said, From now on, you'll live a heavenly life. The peerless beauties of my Demon Fox clan will take turns in your bed. By then, all the descendants of the demigods of the Fox clan will be your descendants. You'll be very proud. A captive setter, or rather a pig, should be the most pitiful. Then, Yao Qi suddenly said, Oh right, are you really paralyzed or are you faking it? You're Yang Dingtian. You're very powerful. Come let me check. Then, Yao Qi pressed her palm on Yang Dingtian's chest. Then, a strong force surged into his Xian meridians and reached his Sea of Qi. Then, she clearly felt that Yang Dingtian's Sea of Qi had become a pile of ruins. It had no effect on the Xian Qi of the outside world. It had become a pile of nothingness. There were no energy waves or reactions. I'm sorry, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian. I had no choice. Yao Qi said calmly. Our library prepared 10 books for you. I'm afraid we can't use them anymore. If we force ourselves to fill them up, I'm afraid they'll all be nude novels. For example, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, how long did you fuck someone today? What does that woman look like? What are her breasts? But if that's the case, perhaps 100 books won't be enough. Yang Dingtian gradually calmed down and said, It's a pity that you don't have a sister or a mother. Yao Qi sighed and said, Yeah, if I did, I'd definitely send them to your room. Then, Yao Qi twisted her neck and said, All right, within 3 days, I'll take down Silvermoon City. I know that your lover, the demonized Dongfang Bingling, is in Silvermoon City. No matter what method you use, you have to help me achieve this goal. Otherwise, your family in Cloud Sky City will all. Yao Qi drew a line across her neck. Yang Dingtian squinted his eyes. 5 days. In 5 days, he had to kill Yao Qi successfully. In order to achieve this goal, It was also possible to cooperate with the evil Tao. Chapter 758. Yang Dingtian stared at Yao Qi for a long time. Then he smiled and said, Chairman Yao Qi, you should know that your intelligence and strategy far surpass mine. So you don't have to test my intelligence. Just tell me what to do. Okay. Yao Qi was stunned. Then, she clapped her hands and said, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, this is the smartest you've ever been in front of me. Facing Yao Qi's sarcasm, Yang Dingtian was full of self-confidence. Instead, he looked at her expectantly. Yao Qi said, It's easy to defeat the Silver Moon clan. Just kill their leader. He's the spiritual leader of the Silver Moon clan. Kill him, and the Silver Moon clan will give up resisting. Yang Dingtian nodded and said, Then please tell me how to kill the Silver Moon clan leader. I can't kill him anyway. That goes against the Fox clan's rules. Yao Qi said, If I'm not wrong, you have a woman called Dongfang Bingling. However, she's been demonized. She's now the fourth person in the evil ways. Because I refuse to cooperate with the evil ways. All the elites of the evil ways are in the Silver Moon clan's resistance army. Am I right? It should be, Yang Dingtian said. Regarding this point, you are much clearer than me. Yao Qi said, If that's the case, isn't it easy? Just get your woman to kill the Silver Moon clan leader, when he's not paying attention? Yang Dingtian nodded and said, That's a good plan. Unfortunately, there are a few things that don't work. Yao Qi said, Please enlighten me, Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, the leader of the humans. Yang Dingtian said, First, what's the Silver Moon clan leader's cultivation level? Yao Qi said, According to your human's ranking system, he should be a saint. In any case, the Silver Moon clan is one of the most powerful clans in terms of martial arts. Yang Dingtian said, If that's the case, we'll be in trouble. It's been a long time since we humans have a saint-level expert. Yao Qi said, But if I remember correctly, your woman called Dongfang Bingling is very powerful. Yang Dingtian said, It's still impossible to reach the saint level. In fact, 200 years ago, the Demon King and the Devil Queen were the so-called strongest human masters in the universe. But they were only half-saints. Now that 200 years have passed, I feel that if humans still have saint-level experts, it would be these two. Yao Qi said, That's not easy. As a human, you've only cultivated for 200 or 300 years, and your cultivation has reached the level of a demon fox's thousands of years of cultivation. No, you can't say that. Yang Dingtian said, Once you enter a deep level of cultivation, there's no difference between 100 years and 10 years. Your Demon Fox clan's overall talent and cultivation are much higher than us humans. Otherwise, you wouldn't have so many saint-level experts and so many half-saints. No, Yao Qi said, I've been tricked by my good teacher. In the past few hundred years, the number of experts in the Demon Fox clan didn't increase. Instead, it decreased. Many of the experts didn't improve, but regressed. Luckily, I've taken the position. Otherwise, the Demon Fox clan would have been destroyed in a few years. Your Excellency Yao Qi, I'm very impressed with your great talent and vision. Yang Dingtian said, But we've gone too far. Since the leader of the Silver Moon clan is so strong, I'm afraid that even if Dongli and Mu Dan worked together, they wouldn't be able to defeat him. They wouldn't even be able to kill him with a sneak attack. The Demon King and the Devil Queen may be strong, but I can't invite them. In fact, I can't even invite Dongli and Mu Dan. As you can see, Dongli hates my guts. Mu Dan is controlled by an evil spirit. No one will listen to what I say. That's a problem, Yao Qi said. How about this? There's someone who's very strong. If she helps, we might be able to kill the leader of the Silver Moon clan. Who? Yang Dingtian asked. Wu Yu, Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian was truly astonished and said, Her? Wu Yu. She was my teacher's lover. She was also my dream lover. Of course, she was also the dream lover of the leader of the Silver Moon clan. Oh, and also the dream lover of the Shadow Spear clan's leader, Yao Nu II. Yao Qi said, In terms of love, the leader of the Silver Moon clan was the most devoted. No, I don't think so. Yang Dingtian was shocked. I've seen the leader of the Wuyu clan. She's very, very beautiful. Her beauty is magical. In the chaotic world, she should be at the peak. She's on par with Saints Tantai and Nihility Piaoling. However, it's not to the point where all the top experts in the Little Western Paradise would fall in love with her. Yao Qi sat down beside Yang Dingtian. He patted his shoulder and said, Brother Yang, you don't know. This Wuyu isn't human. Yang Dingtian was shocked. He nodded and said, I can feel it. She looks different from humans. There's an indescribable aesthetic to her. It's hard to tell if she's male or female. She's not from the Demon Fox clan either, Yao Qi said. Yang Dingtian was shocked. She came from the Little Western Paradise. Of course, Yao Qi said. Didn't I tell you? You didn't, Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi said, but I told you that my master Mi, Yao Nu, and the leader of the Silver Moon clan, Yao Li, are all in love with her. That means she came from the Little Western Paradise. Are you sure there's nothing wrong with your brain? Ah yes. She came from the Little Western Paradise, Yang Dingtian said. No wonder she could live for so long. There are so many treasures in the Sea of Spirits. All right, continue. Yao Qi said, I told you she's not human. She's not from the Demon Fox clan. What do you think she is? No, the Speechless clan? Yang Dingtian asked. In the Little Western Paradise, other than the Demon Fox clan, there was only the Speechless clan. You're half right, Yao Qi said. The truth is, the Demon Fox clan didn't plan to breed with humans. They wanted the Speechless clan and the Demon Fox clan to try combining. You know the result. The Speechless clan had no desires at all. They couldn't succeed. That's why there was a speaker a long time ago. She was a woman. She was the most beautiful woman in the entire Little Western Paradise. She was the most beautiful woman. Think about it. The Little Western Paradise has many beauties. Jia is one of the best. Yang Dingtian said. Is this female speaker prettier than Jia? Yao Qi nodded vigorously and said, Of course. She's not on the same level as Jia. You know, when a beauty reaches a certain level, it's a type of aura. It's not just about looks. She's really beautiful, Yang Dingtian said. And then, Yao Qi said, then, a Speechless clan member who had no desires was successfully seduced by the female speaker. She was the first Speechless clan member to be seduced, and the only one. Did you know? The Speechless clan has an unspoken rule. They self-destruct. They don't reproduce. Yang Dingtian nodded and said, I admire her very much. Yao Qi said, Do you think the Fox Demon clan should do the same? Yang Dingtian thought for a while and said, No, the Fox Demon clan also has the right to live. But they have to choose the right direction. Then what do you think is the right direction? Yao Qi asked. Yang Dingtian said, You seem to have gone off topic. We were talking about a Speechless clan member who had an agreement with the female speaker. All right, Yao Qi said. After the Speechless clan member was seduced, he committed suicide. Ah. Yang Dingtian was stunned and said, So sick. Yes, so sick. They are absolute abstinence. Self-destruction is deeply imprinted in their souls. Yao Qi said. Then, the female speaker got pregnant and gave birth to a daughter. That was Wuyu. I understand now. Yang Dingtian said. The Silver Dragon bloodline in Wuyu's body is purer than all the other Fox Demon clan members. Also, she is unique in Little Western Paradise. She is the daughter of the speaker. So it is normal for all the top elites to be obsessed with her. Yes, Yao Qi said. My teacher back then was the female speaker's student. At that time, almost everyone was madly pursuing this Wuyu. Every 2 or 3 days they would duel. Especially the Silver Moon clan leader, Yao Li. He wanted to kill all his competitors. But in the end, Wuyu chose my teacher Yongxi. Yongxi didn't know martial arts. He was a scholar. Yang Dingtian said. And then? Yao Qi said. The Fox Demon clan members have a very long lifespan. But after the female speaker gave birth to her daughter, she aged very quickly and died. Everyone had high hopes for Wuyu. They thought that she could be the descendant of a demigod. But she wasn't. So the mixed blood of the Fox Demon clan and the Speechless clan couldn't become the descendant of a demigod. So, the Fox Demon clan could only set their sights on humans and walk the path of the Naga clan. Yang Dingtian nodded. So for a very long time, the female Fox Demon clan members were sent to humans wave after wave. But after many years none of them succeeded, because after the female Fox Demon clan members went to humans, they couldn't even stay in human form. They didn't even go into heat. Yao Qi said, "Of course my wife Yao Rao was an exception. She is my wife." Yang Dingtian said. "Me." Yao Qi said. "Me." Yang Dingtian said. "Okay, let's not talk about that for now." Yao Qi said. "Anyway, the plan to send the females to humans lasted for thousands of years. All of them failed. In the end, everyone set their sights on Wu Yu, because she was the only mixed blood between the Speechless clan and the Fox Demon clan. She might be able to succeed." "Wow, that's tragic," Yang Dingtian said. "Yes, that's tragic," Yao Qi said. "At that time Wu Yu and my teacher, Yongxi, were about to get married. Yongxi hadn't been brainwashed by the Speechless clan yet. He still gave his life to the Fox Demon clan. So he reluctantly gave up his love and let Wu Yu go to the human kingdom. Of course, Wu Yu also failed. She fell in love with the Demon King Wentian. Unfortunately, Wentian couldn't make her fall in love, so she couldn't give birth to a child." "Thank you for telling me about the past," Yang Dingtian said. "You're welcome," Yao Qi said. "Now you should understand Wu Yu better. First, her cultivation might not be as high as Yao Li's, but it wasn't that far off. Most importantly, Yao Li's infatuation with her was like a madman. If Wu Yu wanted to kill him, not only would he not resist, he would even cut off his own head. So, think of a way to let Wu Yu kill Yao Li. What do you think?" Yang Dingtian looked at Yao Qi and suddenly asked, "That's right, Yao Qi, have you touched Wu Yu's face and body before?" Yao Qi was stunned then nodded. Yang Dingtian said, "Since you have touched her before, why don't you let Wu Yu kill Yao Li? Why do you want me to find her? I haven't touched her before. Who am I? Why should she listen to me?" Yao Qi looked at her right palm and said, "Yang Dingtian, take a look. First of all, I have done something to Wu Sheng, and even stole her underwear. So she definitely won't listen to me. She hates me. Secondly, Dongfang Bingling is your woman, right? Dongfang Bingling is the Demon King Wentian's fourth in command, right? Wu Yu loves the Demon King Wentian, right?" "Ah yes," Yang Dingtian said. "Then it's fine," Yao Qi said. "Then you can let Wu Yu kill Yao Li." Yang Dingtian thought hard and said, "Mr. President, is there a connection between the two of them?" "There is," Yao Qi said. "You can let Dongfang Bingling find Wu Yu and kill Yao Li. That's it." Yang Dingtian said, "But Dongfang Bingling is Princess Mudan now. Do you think she will listen to me? Then, do you think Wu Yu will listen to Mudan? How do you know if you don't try?" Yao Qi said. "I think the chances are slim," Yang Dingtian said. Yao Qi said, "I don't know if it's slim or not, but I know that if you don't do it, your son and wife will all die." Then, Yao Qi's face turned cold, and she stared at Yang Dingtian. Then, she took out a piece of parchment and a pen and said, "Write a letter to Princess Mudan. Tell her to come and meet you in secret. You two can talk." Yang Dingtian was silent for a while and said, "If I don't write, you'll kill my whole family, right?" "Yes." Yao Qi smiled and said, "Your Cloud Sky City is always under the surveillance of the experts I sent." "Okay, I'll write," Yang Dingtian said. Then he wrote on the parchment, "Mudan, please come and meet me in secret. Let's talk." Yang Dingtian. Yao Qi took the parchment and frowned. She seemed to be dissatisfied with the contents of the parchment, but she didn't do anything. She nodded and said, "Okay, I'll send this to Mudan secretly. Wait for my reply." Yao Qi left. That night, Princess Mudan secretly appeared in Yang Dingtian's room. Talk about what?" "Say it," Princess Mudan said. Then Yao Qi was in another room. "Please find Wu Yu and ask her to come to the Silver Moon clan to kill clan leader Yao Li. Only she can do it," Yang Dingtian said. "Why?" Mudan smiled coldly and said, "Do you think I'm Dongfang Bingling? Clan leader Yao Li is our ally now. Why? Yang Dingtian said, probably. Probably because if you don't agree, Yao Qi will send people to kill my entire family. Your entire family? What does that have to do with me? Mu Dan said calmly. Then Mu Dan said, what do we gain from killing Yao Li? Suddenly Yao Qi said, after killing Yao Li, you'll have the rights to raise the Naga clan. And in the battle between you and Yang Dingtian in the future, I'll send you a group of half-saints. Hey, I'm still here, Yang Dingtian said. Oh, I almost forgot. Yang Dingtian won't be able to leave. In the future, the world extermination war will have nothing to do with you, Yang Dingtian. Yao Qi said, Princess Peony, let's change the condition. If you agree, I'll let you leave Little Western Paradise alive. You know that it's only a matter of time before the Silver Moon clan is destroyed. But I don't want to have so many casualties. That's why I want to solve the problem earlier. In other words, you're still worth some money now. But when the Silver Moon clan is destroyed, you won't have the right to negotiate with me. You'll all be sent to the guillotine. Your Demon King, Devil Queen, and Yang Dingtian are so scared that they're about to pee their pants. But I don't care. Also, if you don't agree, I'll take over the rights to raise the Naga clan's half-gods. You know that Yang Dingtian is in my hands. Mu Dan fell silent. Yao Qi said, Mu Dan, you're a cold energy creature. You should be smart and rational. Think about it. Got it. Goodbye. Princess Mu Dan left. Yang Dingtian said, Chairman Yao Qi, are you still going to kill my family? Yao Qi said, not for now. Mu Dan used the fastest time to leave Little Western Paradise. She saw Wu Yu in the sky above the Forbidden Ocean. Then, she told Wu Yu everything that had happened. You want me to kill Yao Li? Otherwise, Yao Qi will kill Yang Dingtian's entire family? Wu Yu asked. Yes, Mu Dan said. Wu Yu continued. Are there demon fox experts that Yao Qi sent to Cloud Sky City? Yes, Mu Dan said. Let's go, Wu Yu said. Then he flew directly to Cloud Sky City. Mu Dan was shocked. Why are you going to Cloud Sky City? To kill, Wu Yu said. A few hours later, the 5 demon fox experts that were hiding near Cloud Sky City were all killed by Wu Yu. The threat to Cloud Sky City was completely removed. Peony said in astonishment. Why is this? Why are you protecting Yang Dingtian's family? Wu Yu said. It's not that I want to protect them. It's your family's Demon King's order. Mu Dan said. Then what do we do now? Kill Yao Qi. Kill Yao Qi? Us. Wu Yu sneered. Impossible. Do you know how many experts he has? Even if we work together with Yao Li, we won't be able to kill Yao Qi. Mu Dan said. Then, why didn't Yao Li send those experts to kill the Silver Moon clan leader Yao Li? The Demon Fox clan's rule is that they don't kill the clan leader. Wu Yu said. All the clan leaders of the 9 clans are exempt from death. Otherwise, if it's the Silver Moon clan today, it could be the Shadow Spear clan tomorrow. This is the highest rule that limits the chairman's power. Of course, the clan leader can't kill the chairman. This is also the highest rule. Only Yao Ling, that idiot, would do something like assassination. Even if Yao Li hates Yao Qi to the core, he would never kill him. Wu Yu and Mu Dan arrived at the Forbidden Ocean again. They entered the Skull Hall, opened the silver door, and entered the Little Western Paradise. Mu Dan said, Clan leader Wu Yu, what are you doing now? Wu Yu said, killing the Silver Moon clan leader Yao Li? Mu Dan said, why? There's no reason. Wu Yu said, you'll know when the time comes. Yao Qi was working behind a huge desk, while Jia stood beside her. When Wu Yu enters the Little Western Paradise and the Silver Moon clan, let me know. Yao Qi said. Yes. Jia said. What is she doing here? Yao Qi said, killing Yao Li. Jia was stunned. Then she said, yes. In that case, if an outsider kills Yao Li, it doesn't violate the clan leader's rule of not killing. Yao Qi said, no. If you find out that Wu Yu has entered the Silver Moon clan, prepare enough experts to kill Wu Yu and those from the evil ways. Jia was astonished. Why is that? Yao Qi said. Because under normal circumstances, Wu Yu wouldn't kill Yao Li. If she did that, it would mean that she was colluding with Yongxi to kill me. Jia was very smart, but she could not understand the logic behind it. She could not understand Yao Qi's words at all. Yao Qi said, "Wu Yu, do you have a reason to kill Yao Li?" After thinking for a while, Jia shook her head. Yao Qi said, "What if Yongxi and Jiang Shang set a trap to kill me?" The Silver Moon clan had become an obstacle to this trap. That was why Wu Yu went with the flow and agreed to my request to kill Yao Li. Other than this reason, she has no other reason to kill Yao Li, even if she doesn't like him. Jia's eyes brightened as she looked at Yao Qi in disbelief. Therefore, as long as Wu Yu truly comes to kill Yao Li, he will be able to kill Yao Li. In that case, Yongxi and Jiang Shang must have conspired to kill me. That's a very simple logical deduction. Yao Qi twisted her neck and said, "I wrote a letter to the Silver Moon clan leader, Yao Li. Send it to him secretly. Before Wu Yu arrives, I want to talk to him. Find a secret place to talk, just the two of us." Jia trembled. Then will you be in danger? Impossible. Yao Qi said, "Yao Li is the most loyal follower of the Fox clan's creed. He won't hurt me, and he can't hurt me." "Yes," Jia said and kept the letter. Of course, Yang Dingtian didn't see this scene. If he had seen it, he would definitely lament at this person's paranoia. This person's scheming was truly monstrous. Even 100 Yang Dingtians wouldn't be a match for him. Wu Yu was flying towards the Silver Moon clan. At that moment, in a secret cave, Yao Qi and the Silver Moon clan leader, Yao Li, were having a secret conversation. Yao Li's face was not as beautiful as his son's. His face looked as if it had been chopped by an axe. It was too sharp. Moreover, his eyes were extremely piercing. He stood there like an unsheathed sword, sharp and threatening. He was one of the top experts in Little Western Paradise. "Clan leader Yao Li, I killed your son Yao Li." Yao Qi went straight to the point. Yao Li said, "Don't worry, I won't kill the speaker. That's why I'll wait until you're kicked out before killing you." Yao Qi said. At that time, Yao Rao successfully took the seed and gave birth to a demigod descendant. I went to Cloud Sky City to take Yao Rao and the child away. Yao Li tried to stop me, but I wouldn't listen. At that moment, Wu Yu was coming towards Cloud Sky City, less than 1,000 miles away. She's now on the side of evil ways. If it were you, what would you do? Yao Li was stunned. After a moment of silence, he said, "I would kill the person who stopped me. That's why I killed Yao Li." Yao Qi said, "You're very against my teacher Yongxi, right?" "Of course. He's leading the Fox clan to corruption and degeneration. He's destroying the martial arts civilization. He wants to destroy the Fox clan," Yao Li said. Yao Qi said, "Then congratulations, we're on the same path. Although he's my teacher, I'm the one who opposes him the most. I'll completely change his strategy and lead the Little Western Paradise back to a strong martial arts civilization. I'll sweep away the current corruption. Moreover, I've already completely controlled Yang Dingtian. He's the one who can give birth to demigods for countless Fox clan women. In the next few hundred years, we'll have many demigod descendants. We'll build the Western Kingdom Empire and rule the chaotic world. We can finish the path that the Naga Empire didn't finish." Instantly, Silver Moon clan leader Yao Li's eyes were filled with disbelief. "This Jiang Shang from the Speechless clan is Yang Dingtian in disguise," Yao Qi said like a thunderbolt. "And my teacher Yongxi, the main culprit of the Little Western Paradise's degeneration, is also in my hands." The patriarch of the Silver Moon clan, Yao Li, was trembling. Yao Qi said calmly, "Clan leader Yao Li, the clan leaders around me aren't my comrades. They're my enemies, because they're also corrupted and degenerated. You are the only one who is truly my comrade in arms." Then, Yao Qi slowly pulled out her sword and handed it to Yao Li. She said, "I've told you the two most confidential things. So you have to make a choice. Do you want to kill me? Or do you want to fight alongside me and let me marry your daughter?" Suddenly, the extremely powerful Yao Li almost couldn't hold the sword. His entire body was trembling. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.